open session. We needed a report from closed session.
Yes, with respect to every item of business discussed in closed session pursuant to sections 49060 through 49079 and the Family Right and Privacy Act, I move for the expulsion of student A.
Second.
Aye.
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 With respect to every item of business discussed in closed session pursuant to sections 54957, public employment, with the announcement that Martha Franco is assigned as principal to Harvest Middle School. Don't know if we have Martha here
Is Martha
today.
here? Martha Franco?
We want to welcome Ms. Martha Franco to the principalship position at Harvest. We are very, very excited about you joining the team in this new role after serving as the assistant principal. So I know on behalf of me as the superintendent and on the school board, we are very, very excited about your appointment, and we're excited for Harvest.
Congratulations.
Felicidades. With respect to every item of business discussed in closed session pursuant to sections 54957, employee discipline, dismissal, release, the board voted to release one temporary certificated employee for employment for the 2019-2020 school year. The vote was unanimous. The board voted to approve a settlement and release agreement with a certificated employee. The vote was as follows, and it was unanimous. That's all reportable items.
Okay, we can start with the flag salute. Us. Go ahead, David.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Our announcement, this meeting is recorded for live streaming and archiving on the district YouTube channel. Approval of agenda, and before we approve, or excuse me, I need to move.
You want to amend the agenda?
I want to amend the agenda, excuse me. Quite a few amendments. Okay, so 1, 2, 3, 4. I'd like to amend 4 different items to move to after public comment F, and that would be I-2A, I-3B, J-1A, and J-1B.
I'll move to approve the agenda as suggested.
By Joe Shunk, and a second by Ms. Water. All those in favor?
Aye.
Any abstentions? Student? Okay, approval of minutes.
Are we doing those separate or together as I make the motion?
Separate.
So separate, okay.
E5A, regular board meetings from April 25th.
I move to approve that motion.
Second.
Elba, a second by Joe. All those in favor?
Aye.
Any abstentions? Student? E5B, special board meeting minutes, May 5th, 2019.
I'll move.
Joe, second by Ms. Waters. All those in favor?
Aye.
Student? Any abstentions? Okay. Abstention by Ms. Robin Jankowitz. One moment. This is a note. H2C. All right.
Not
E6,
like we're taking it out of order. So.
okay. Recognition of visitors and employee organizations. Anybody in the crowd? Please wave at us. None? Okay. Public comment on non-agenda items. Members of the audience may address the board on any school-related matter that is not on the agenda. The board will not take action on any issues raised during this section of agenda. Inasmuch as the board action is limited to a posted agenda item, speakers are requested to limit their comments to a maximum of 3 minutes, please.
Acting President Martin, I just want to let folks know that are here in the back before we begin public comment, there are some chairs here in front, so if you don't want to have to stand the entire meeting, we do have some empty seats in the front.
Yeah, so these are agenda items. So for Valerie Wolf.
You might also want to announce why you held those cards because they touch on agenda items. But
Are we ready? Yeah. Okay. Good morning. Okay. Good evening, board. My name is Valerie Wolf, and I am with the Napa Neighborhood Association for Safe Technology. While we have primarily focused on educating the city and the larger community about the impending threat of 5G small antennas, which Verizon is attempting to install on utility poles in neighborhoods throughout Napa, we are also concerned about current 4G wireless technology and the placement of macro towers near children and other vulnerable populations, since hundreds of studies have shown that radio frequency or RF radiation poses serious health risks, including cancer. We understand that a prior administration bound the district to install a macro tower next to the Napa High campus back in 2016, and that when the board tried to rescind the decision, Verizon threatened the district with a lawsuit for breach of contract. Subsequently, the macro tower has been installed, but we believe that the new administration and board should revisit that decision. In 2004, a pilot study of California firefighters who worked in 2 fire stations next to cell towers was conducted when the men began experiencing neurological problems once they were activated. The study showed brain anomalies, cognitive impairment, delayed reaction time, and lack of impulse control in all 6 firefighters who were tested. This study led to a moratorium on the placement of cell towers on fire stations throughout the U.S. and Canada. In 2016, a response to a study from the National Toxicology Program showing a connection between cell phone radiation and tumors in rats, the American Academy of Pediatrics issued recommendations to limit children's exposure to cell phones and other devices that emit RF radiation. In terms of cell towers, the Academy has cited an Egyptian study that linked living near a cell tower to increased risk for headaches, memory problems, dizziness, depression, sleep problems, and has called for larger and more long-term studies. In March of this year, parents forced Sprint to shut down a cell tower at Weston Elementary School in Ripon, where 4 children and 3 teachers developed different forms of cancer. Teachers and students are already exposed to RF radiation from all of the students' cell phones and all of the wireless devices being used in the classroom, especially since the district moved away from wired computer networks and has required students to bring their own devices. The board must consider the accumulation of RF radiation from all these sources with the addition of the cell tower and must weigh the risk of leaving the cell tower in place and possibly getting sued if children or staff get sick versus the risk of having Verizon move the cell tower and possibly getting sued for breach of contract. We believe the choice is clear. Using Weston Elementary as a precedent, we request that the board exercise its duty of care and place the matter on the agenda to require that Verizon relocate its cell tower. In addition, we recommend that the district follow the example of LA Unified by hiring a consultant to look at ways in which the district can reconfigure classrooms to reduce students and staff's RF radiation exposure in general. And I have packets for each of the board members and the superintendent with some pertinent information.
I have various cards. I will be holding them as we go through the agenda. Next up would be J1A, or excuse me, I2A. And that is recognition of 2019 Napa County Office of Education Employee of the Year.
Thank you. Good evening, trustees. I am privileged tonight to share with you some of our outstanding Napa Valley Unified School District employees who are recognized as Napa County Employees of the Year. We were at a great celebration last night where they received plaques and awards and even a little bit of spending money, which was really, really nice. But we want to make sure that the board and our community knows about their wonderful accomplishments and who they are. And so I'm here to share just a little bit about each one of them, have them come on up here with their supervisor if they're here, and have you see them and maybe do a little photo op at the end, if you don't mind. So first of all, I'd like to call up Chris Jenkins. So Chris Jenkins is a campus supervisor at Napa High School, and he has one of the most important jobs and challenging jobs in Napa Valley Unified School District, or any district for that matter. It's a job that requires him to take initiative, to stay alert, to be always attentive to the safety of the campus, to communicate well with those around him, with a variety of staff and students and visitors. He is always positive in any situation, and he presents himself as a warm person who demands the best of his students and the people around him, and he builds strong relationships to help them make that happen. And I know that Napa High just admires Chris for being a team player, for being willing to step in and go above and beyond his level of responsibility. He's a leader amongst the campus supervisors. He has the historical knowledge of Napa High, and so he's able to provide a lot of insight. He has trained many different campus supervisors through modeling behaviors and providing great feedback and support to them. And when he sees an issue, if it needs to be solved, he jumps in, and through good communication and hard work, they find a solution to that problem. So the person who nominated Chris said, "I appreciate his initiative and desire to solve problems efficiently and effectively. Most importantly, Chris Jenkins sincerely cares about Napa High School and the people in the school. His loyalty and commitment make the school a better place." So Chris, we thank you very much for your work with us.
If I knew I was coming up here, I would have not worn jeans. Sorry for my attire, but everything's pretty much summarized in the passage there. I've been there since November 26, and Chris has the greatest relationships with the kids, and every day he comes in and shakes my hand with a smile every day. So Chris, thank you for all of that. Thank you.
Stay close, because we're going to do a photo, but you wherever you're comfortable. Right there. Okay. The next person is Linda Caddis. Linda's here when you come on up. Linda Caddis is an independence facilitator, a paraeducator at Willow Elementary School. And Linda was nominated by the parent of the student that she works with. And that just speaks to the relationship that she has built with the student and with the families. And what they have to say about Linda is that she has the ability to balance compassion and firmness. And that's just incredibly important with somebody who works one-on-one with a student that has a lot of challenges and needs to be supported to make to reach high expectations, which Linda holds for her student. She knows when to push, but she knows when to give the student space and time to process his environment and the demands being placed upon him. And the parent of the student that she works with said, "As a parent of a special needs child and a teacher at NVUSD, it is impossible to express how much of a support and influence Linda has had in my child's life. My child has Down syndrome and will always need to work harder as compared to his typically developing peers in both academic and life skills. I treasure Linda as being one of the people in his life who is helping him along in his journey. And we're so grateful for the work that you do and the difference that you're making in our students' lives. Thank you. All right, our next employee is Dave Jeevis. Dave, come on up here. So Dave Jeevis is an irrigation specialist. He works in our maintenance and operations department. So Mike Pearson can add a little something here if I miss an important point about Dave. So Dave has an amazing work ethic and professionalism. He's been here for 7 years, and it's been noted that he is one of the hardest working, most driven, compulsive, in a good way, and conscientious employees that his nominator has ever encountered. And Dave is a guy who understands the importance of a safe and well-prepared field, so he does a lot of work on our grounds, and a lot of that work is on our athletic fields. And so he takes a great deal of pride and initiative in making sure that the playing conditions are impeccable. And that's not just for looks, but that's for the safety of everybody. The person who nominated him has said that he has gotten countless compliments from people in the short time that he's been Dave's supervisor, just complimenting him on the job that he's done and his attitude and the way that he models his work ethic, his professionalism, and his dedication to others. And they say, this is the last sentence, and I really like it. I think it sums it up. Employees who are fanatical about their occupation inspire others to achieve at high levels and perform beyond the normal expectations. And he does all this, plus he finds time to be a good role model in our community, and that's why we've nominated Dave for this award. Great job, Dave. You know what to do with that, right?
So, yes, myself, Albert D'Souza, and then Rich Anderson, who is a English teacher and a baseball coach at Vintage High School, nominated Dave. And, being very new in the maintenance and operations department, you get to learn everybody pretty quickly. And Dave was one of the individuals who just stood out right away from me. I mean, he became the individual for me that was like a go-to person. And about 3 months into my new tenure at this particular position, Albert, who is the director of maintenance and grounds, went on maternity leave, and I was like, "Whoa, what do I do? I don't even know what I'm doing. I want to go back to be a principal at a high school." But Dave was right there by my side, guided me, and was always sort of like my right-hand person when it came to the grounds and the irrigation and even other things like that. And I could call him at 6 o'clock in the morning. I could call him at 10 o'clock at night, and he was going to respond no matter what, because that's the type of individual he is. So I am honored that he was chosen as the county office employee county employee of the year. I'm also honored that he's here today being recognized by the Napa Valley Unified School District. He is a tremendous asset to our school district, and thank you, Dave, for all that you do.
All right, so those were our classified Napa County Employees of the Year. And I had another person come on up and join us. This is Joanne Clark. She is the Napa County Teacher of the Year. So Are any of your students here tonight, by any chance? Okay, last night, we had the honor of having, a former student, that's always fun, too. Last night, when they presented Joanne with this award, she had about 10 of her students there, and so it was really amazing to hear from them and hear their story and how much they appreciate and love you. So Joanne Clark is a teacher at Valley Oak at American Canyon High School, and what's striking about the application that was submitted for Joanne was that the first thing she heard when she walked through the door of her new assignment last year at this school was the students telling her, "We don't learn like other kids." And so that was a challenge that Joanne Clark picked up and ran with and has done an amazing job of connecting with students that don't necessarily learn the same as anybody else. And in order to do that, she had to really connect with her 20 juniors and seniors and learn how to do individual lesson design and instructional plans that were customized to each student's needs. She had to come up with a plan for each one, a no-fail graduation plan, and that helped the students to monitor their own progress. And she also does things like meeting with her students and families consistently to make sure that they don't fall through the cracks. She does everything from giving them a pep talk, giving them new shoes, swim lessons, a bank account, and helping people actually pass their DMV license test. So she goes above and beyond for her students. And you can tell just from 1 minute of hearing from a student how much they love and admire her and appreciate her. So because her students don't learn like other kids, it is really Mrs. Clark's charge to be instructionally creative, teach outside the box, and establish culturally relevant and real-world connection in everything she teaches. She believes everything is possible when you are in the right place at the right time. And I think that sums it up, Mrs. Clark. You are amazing, and we appreciate you.
Ms. Clark, I was advised that you wanted to say a few words. You can do it right now, yes.
Okay. Do you want to start the clock? Okay. Oh, is it okay? Okay. I'm down to 3 minutes. But I wanted to thank the board because it was this time last year that you were voting to reinstate this program. And look at where we are, which is just so exciting. And I wanted you all to know, I want to say a special thank you to Damon and Marianne. They're not here, but they have just been along my side this whole year for a pep talk, for planning meeting, for vision, and I appreciate their support. And I appreciate the support from, like my kids get support from Valley Oak staff and counselors. They get support from ACHS, from their teachers, from counselors. They're just in this web of support. And I really appreciate that. It helps them feel connected to our community and to what we're doing. And I just wanted to give you an update, quick update. All of my seniors are graduating. Their no-fail plan is no fail. I know. And 8 of my seniors, 8 of the 10, they all receive scholarships. So they are going straight from my door to Napa Valley College or to a certification program. So they are on their way. And I just appreciate everything that you have provided for us. So thank you. Thank you.
Item I3B, District English Learner Advisory Committee, DLAC, presentation by DLAC parent representatives.
Good evening, Board and Dr. Musetti. Tonight is our annual DLAC presentation. Dr. Sarah Williams, Director of Assessment, will be presenting with some parent assistance, and she's here to tell you about the year in the District English Language Advisory Committee.
Good evening, trustees. I have the honor of introducing to you Elizabeth Martinez, and Veronica Contreras, and Norma Ortiz, and they're going to do most of the talking this evening. I'm actually not. And I would just tell you that I'm going to pass out the presentation. Some of our presentation this evening will be in English and some will be in Spanish based on the presenter's language. So I want you to be able to have our notes so that you can read them in the language of your choice. And for the benefit of the audience, we will read them in English after the presentation so that you know what we are all saying as well. So if you'll forgive me while I pass these out quickly. Elizabeth is up first. Our pre-meeting took me back to college. It was very much like cramming for a final, having us all in there getting ready for this. So we're all nervous and very excited to present to you.
Good evening to everyone. Our presentation is about DLAC. What is DLAC? District English Learner Advisory Committee. Federally mandated parent advisory to give input regarding programs and services which support the students who are English learners. DLAC is an opportunity for parents to learn about the school systems and express their needs and the interest of better supporting their students. DLAC is a required advisory committee comprised of parents, school representatives, and students when are appropriate. The primary function of DLAC is inform to stakeholders about programs and services to students who are speakers of other languages besides English, as well as to gather feedback from those stakeholders to better service students. I'm sorry, I'm getting nervous. What we do in DLAC, or what discuss in DLAC, DLAC is a required topics from the state. Some of those topics are programs and services to English learners, how the students can reclassify out of these programs, and how what the parents should expect from schools in terms of communication and teacher aid requirements. Gathering stakeholders' feedback about services, funding to English learners services, and on a district operation regarding. This year, some of those topics was parenting adolescents, social and emotional health, suicide awareness, special education, and parent involvement. DLAC had a number of requirements mandated by the state. Each year, the first meeting included training of what is DLAC and what is the purpose. The first meeting also includes a gathering and needs assessment, such as district leaders can support DLAC members and topics they believe need to be addressed. We discussed the LCAP, and parents learn important information about how their students receive services from specific funds, direct and improving the outcomes of English learner students.
El DLAC es un lugar para la participación significativa, unión de dos temas de dos cosas obligatorias, el tema obligatorio y las necesidades de los padres. El incremento constante en la participación de los papás por la información que se da en estas juntas informativas. La cena y el servicio de guardería son necesarios para ayudar a los padres a poder asistir a las reuniones. Las comunicaciones para ampliar la comunidad, dando la información necesaria para ayudar a nuestros estudiantes a tener una mejor manera de ver la educación.
And I'm just going to read her part for the benefit of the audience. DLAC in Napa Valley Unified School District has evolved beyond the mandated topics to incorporate information from the needs assessment. In addition to director presentations on mandated issues, guest speakers share insights. This year we've had visitors from child welfare and attendance, social workers, and bilingual community parent liaisons. It is critical that our child care and dinner are provided so that families who have late working hours and who do not have a babysitter can still attend meetings and give their input. All of these innovations have improved participation over time, from an average to 10 to 15 participants to an average of 20 to 25 participants. DLAC recommendations. So I'm gonna focus on talking about preserving culture and language at every school site, honoring diversity and inclusion, and honoring parent participation, involvement, and education. DLAC is an advisory group. Our role is to advise the governing board regarding topics of concern and interest to English language stakeholders and others. Speakers of other languages feel like they are part of the community when the diversity they bring to schools is valued. We want our children to learn about their own cultures, not just the culture of their adopted country. And we want their native language preserved, just like English is valued in schools. Often, diverse families feel like they have to walk into worlds, the English world, where they must give up a part of themselves in order to participate in their own world, where the language and culture are common instead of the exception, where parents work to keep cultural traditions and language intact. There are only a few schools in Napa where diversity of language and culture is embedded. This should be the way all schools operate. Parents and children should not have to give up who they are or where they come from in order to be a part of the community. When schools are inclusive and value the differences all students bring, they become places where all students can learn. Also, we would like to recommend that school employees have the chance to learn about their own who their communities really are. Parents who come from other countries are unfamiliar with the systems and practices in education, but schools treat families as if they all come from the same privilege and understanding. This creates problems for our children when it comes to homework, extracurricular activities, advanced placement classes, and college readiness. Schools should not assume that all families know how to help their children navigate with these things. Instead, schools should work to break down the barriers students from other cultures face, to ensure that all kids have the chance to get the best education possible with the same opportunities.
Los beneficios de la asesoría comunitaria de DLAC en ELAC es un lugar donde compartir la voz, información importante para mantenerse involucrados, hacer preguntas y aclaraciones para dar mejor apoyo a los estudiantes, y aprender juntos y entre nosotros poder formar una mejor comunidad en los estudiantes.
DLAC at the district and ELAC at school sites are important places for parents. We learn so much when we participate in these groups. And we're going to be talking about our personal testimonies in regards to what DLAC and ELAC mean to us.
First of all, thank you everyone, thank you all for letting us express our opinion and experience about the program DLAC. Thank you to our director, Sarah Williams, for her support all the time. My experience in the program has been positive in all aspects. Learning about the program's services and and knowing always is people behind the programs to help us. Making some friends in the meeting and meeting enthusiastic people who have the same interest in helping our children. At the meetings are always important topics that help us as parents to understand and grow in many aspects. I'm really grateful for our school district to give us the support we needed to see our children successful in school. Thank you all.
En mi opinión, en lo personal, puedo decir que DILAC ha sido más bien una escuela para mí como madre, porque aquí he aprendido que todo puede ser posible si los papás apoyan a los hijos, si estamos al pendiente de sus calificaciones, sobre todo su situación emocional en la escuela. Es muy importante tener en cuenta que ellos están debatiéndose entre dos lenguas y sobre todo la escuela requiere mucha presión, hay mucha tecnología, muchas cosas nuevas para ellos que nosotros por la ignorancia y la falta de educación tecnológica no sabemos muchas veces cómo ayudarlos. Y ellos se sienten frustrados por no saber encontrar la respuesta, pero yo me siento muy orgullosa de estar aquí en primer lugar, en delante de ustedes, siendo parte de esta mesa directiva y pudiendo traer mi voz a que la escuchen, y sobre todo porque tengo a mis hijos que son un reto para mí, llevarlos a lo grande, tengo ilusiones para ellos y voy a trabajar duro, voy a seguir siendo parte de estas juntas. Y agradezco a todos ustedes por darnos un lugar en su país, en su lenguaje y en este lugar. Gracias.
So pretty much in summary, Vero is very honored with you guys and the opportunity of being a part of DLAC and ELAC. It's been a challenge. It's something very challenging, and she's pretty much mentioning that there's a lot of debate within the two worlds, right? The English world and our own cultures. So she also is finding that challenge and the debate in technology. When sometimes we don't know how to help our children navigate through it. So she's also very proud that her voice is heard with DLAC and here with you guys and being a part of today. So thank you for that. And in regards to me, I'm very honored to be a part of DLAC and ELAC. I'm a member of DLAC and I'm a rep at Puebla Vista. And it's a very rewarding experience because I could bring all the important information and topics that we share in our meetings, and we have speakers and very important mandated topics that need to be discussed, and it's been a privilege to go back to Puebla Vista and share with parents, but also to the community. So again, this helps me as a parent be helping my child in being more successful, and also helping her to gain leadership in school. So at her school, and like I said, it's a very rewarding experience. And I really want to also thank our DLAC director, who's very knowledgeable, always answers all our questions very thoroughly, and we love her. Thank you. So if you have any questions for us.
I have a comment and a question, so I'll direct my comment to you three ladies. I'd like to thank you for stepping up and being part of a district committee. It's essential that our parents are involved in their sites and in district advisory committees. I have a question for Dr. Williams, however. some of our elementaries have replaced their ELACs with cafecitas, and I should have asked this question 6 months ago when I became aware of it, but does that meet the letter and intent of the requirements around ELACs and DLACs as far as getting parent input and some level of parent training?
It's a really good question. So the federal recommendations around, federal requirements around DLAC and ELAC are really about if you have 21 English learners at your site, or if you're a small school, your English learner population represents 15% or more of your total student body. How you choose to operate an ELAC is not there's no requirement around how you have to operate an ELAC. You can do it in a number of ways. The most important piece of that being that any English learners who are the ones who are invited to the meeting. Anyone can come, but English learners need to be invited.
Thank you.
Can I go? Okay. J1A, approval of resolution number 1929, a call to climate change action.
Good evening. My name is Lori Stelling, and I'm the parent of a 5th grader. And I'm here to thank you for your support of the call to climate action brought forth by the youth of our community. And I know that when we think of often we think of the physical impacts of climate change when it comes to our children's education, the air pollution and the wildfire smoke, etc. But lately, I've been reflecting upon the fact that it's likely that it'll be around the time that my son enters high school that he begins to understand the full reality of what's at stake with the climate crisis. And this has me begin to feel concerned about how we as a society will support not just the physical well-being of our children, but their mental well-being as well. As how will our youth have the opportunity to focus on their education and their future if they're understandably overwhelmed with feelings of fear, anxiety, and despair about the future they're walking into? And so the adoption of this call to climate change action really, it gives me hope. So I thank you, because what our youth need is our smart action on climate change, our steadfast support, and really that deep sense that we're doing all we can on this every day together. And as soon as they come of age to know the truth of the dire situation we find ourselves in, they need immediate, real opportunities to feel that they can make a difference. Because it's really hope springs forth out of action. And this will help them to be able to focus on their education. So I can't thank you enough for getting the ball rolling, and we really must stay fully committed to action now. We really owe these courageous youth our profound gratitude for continuing to wake us up. Thank you. Yes, and we can do this together, so thank you.
Isabel Martin.
Where will you be in 10 years? It's a question asked by people who want to know about your future plans, but I'm not here to talk about my future plans as a student. I want to talk about we as a human race, where we will be in 10 years. The United Nations reports that we have only until the year 2030 to stop the effects of climate change. So I ask you again, where will you be in 10 years? I believe we'll be in a much better place because of support from people like you, and I, on behalf of the Schools for Climate Action Committee, would like to thank you for supporting our efforts, especially in this busy time of year. I cannot thank you enough for the hope that you have given us by supporting our efforts. Thank you.
I'll entertain a motion. Is there a motion? For the resolution, the approval of resolution 1929, a call to climate change action.
I'll move. A second.
I'm sorry, Ms. Waters, and second. And a second by Ms. Jankowicz.
Aye.
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 Nay. I can't vote for something that supports less meat eating, so I have to draw the line there.
Aye.
Motion passes.
Can I make a comment? I'll just quickly make a comment here. One of my, I think as our institution, as an education, and we're here for our children, our future, just really exciting to read the history. If you haven't gone through the resolution, there's a lot of data and reference as to why our youth came here today in light of this. And we also had some youth come in our other board meeting as well, so I just wanted to recognize them. But this gives us the ability and the method for our superintendent to enact a climate stabilization committee in our district. And so that's really exciting as we look forward to continuing to educate. I went to high school at Napa High, and this wasn't even a topic of conversation. And so it's really exciting to now see that be in our classrooms with our youth. And just congratulations for all of you that have been advocating for this. Thank you.
And the young people that are here today wanted to take a photograph with the school board, and so if we can do that.
Absolutely.
J4H. Give me 1 second. I have 7 cards, and so I'll just have you guys stand up front, and then that way you guys can go right through. So Bill Chadwick, Ann I'm sorry, Ann. Levan Talbert, Bailey, another Ann. Okay. Okay. Edward Rivera and Daisy Zamora.
Good evening. I'm Bill Chadwick. I live at 2130 Pine Street. I spent 25 years in the U.S. Army Special Forces. I believe strongly in symbols. The American flag, for me, represents equality and freedom. I also believe that the pride flag stands for the same things, equality and freedom. So I encourage you all to fly it during the month of June so that my son, who is gay, feels welcome in our community. And at the same time, I'd like to volunteer, Superintendent, to maybe present and help your staff, faculty, and students understand how to care for and display flags. And if you'd like, yo puedo hacerlo en español también, okay? Thanks very much.
I hate following Bill. Okay. Thank you for having us here to talk about this important issue. My name is Ann Sakawi Hemstreet. I have a wife who is a physical therapist at St. Helena Hospital, a precocious 3-year-old daughter, and a 7-week-old that I just left at home. We moved to Napa in 2014 after growing up in the Bay Area and living in LA and North Carolina. We are building ourselves a lovely community of friends and colleagues here in Napa, but the large majority of them are not LGBTQ. We love living here and want to make Napa home, but are still uncertain if we, and more importantly, our children are welcome here. Will they feel and be safe and happy and thrive at the schools and in the larger community? Through my work in the community and schools, I hear that few of the schools in the district have strong and consistent gay-straight alliance clubs, despite the fact that they are demonstrated to improve school climate for all students, not just the gay students. According to the California Healthy Kids survey data, 60% of your heterosexual students feel high levels of school connectedness, but only 35% of LGBT students feel that way. 74% of your heterosexual students report feeling very safe or safe at school, but only 55% of LGBT students feel safe. 30% of heterosexual NVUSD students have been bullied or harassed at school, but 63% of LGBT students have. All of this leads to higher rates of depression, thoughts of suicide, and substance use. These students need more from you as a district, from their schools, and from the adults who care about them. I know that enrollment numbers are declining and that that's a problem for you. I also know that every time I mention my concerns about living here to someone in the community, they say, "Oh, I know so-and-so, family with gay parents and children, and they left because A, they didn't feel welcome here, and B, they couldn't afford to live here." Families are leaving because they don't feel welcome, accepted, and safe here. Wouldn't it be amazing if we could change that? I'm here today to ask you to fly the rainbow flag during the month of June for Pride Month. Flying the rainbow flag matters. A rainbow flag anywhere at a restaurant or at my pediatrician's office tells me that I am welcome there. It tells other people, the potential bullies out there, that whoever is flying the rainbow flag doesn't tolerate bullying and supports diversity and LGBTQ people. When NVUSD flies the rainbow flag, it is a huge symbol that tells your students that you care about all the LGBTQ students out there and that you will do whatever you can to make them feel safe and welcome. That you celebrate diversity and believe it is what makes our community strong and beautiful. The flag itself isn't enough, but it is a huge yet simple step. Thank you for your time and for your consideration.
Hi there. I just want to thank the DLAC and ELAC folks. That was an awesome presentation. I also eat meat. I think meat's great. Climate change, go for it. My name is Bailey, and I'm a very proud member of our LGBTQ community. Can't even say it. Coming here tonight was not easy. While I have spoken in support of this cause at Napa City Hall and the Board of Supervisors, I was reluctant to come here to speak. Because preparing for this made me think back to my school experience, which is a huge trigger, because most of those experiences were not happy. When we talk about statistics for LGBTQ youth, like 44% of Napa's LGBTQ high school students consider suicide, when we talk about how LGBTQ youth experience higher rates of anxiety, depression, and substance use, we are talking about me, because I was one of those statistics. In the mid-90s, I attended school in a small conservative suburb in Southern California. I knew that I was different from a very young age, but I did not lean into my sexuality until I was in 8th grade. I kissed a girl, and I liked it, but I would spend the next 7 years denying that part of myself, hiding that part of myself, and drowning that part of myself with drugs and alcohol. In my town, in my school, you were not queer, and if you were so deep in the closet you prayed that no one would find out. As a closeted queer youth, there was no safe place to go. I could not see who I was reflected in the community around me and carried the weight of my secret until I was 19 years old. That weight was heavy, painful, and came with consequences that lasted into my adulthood. It was not until I ran away to communities that embraced LGBTQ people that I started to find my place in the world, felt safe, and start living the life I deserve to live. The LGBTQ youth in Napa should not have to run away to find home and a safe place. Our LGBTQ youth deserve to be recognized, valued, and protected in our community. The simple and powerful gesture of raising a rainbow flag at our schools, adopting curriculum that focuses on the contributions of LGBTQ individuals, and actively enforcing policies that prevent bullying, harassment, and discrimination of LGBTQ identified youth can and will save lives. I stand before you today a happy, sober, self-confident gay woman because I had the opportunity to live out and proud in communities that embrace who I am and showed me their support, especially in June. With the Napa City Council and other councils in the Valley approving resolutions to fly the rainbow flag next month, Napa is finally making an emphatic statement for equality and inclusion in our community, something I really, 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 really hope the school board will consider tonight. Thank you very much.
Good evening, trustees and representatives of the school district. My name's Luann Talbert. I'm a teacher at River School. I'm also the advisor of the GSA at River School. We are all here because we love children, and I hope strongly that you will vote in favor of flying the pride flag. I have a rainbow flag in the window of my classroom facing the street 365 days of the year. So maybe someday that can be a reality here in our district, but we need to just let these students know that we see them, we hear them, and we love them, and this is a very small token way that we can start opening the doors to make that happen. So please, I urge you to vote in favor of flying this flag. Thank you.
Hello, everyone. My name is Eduardo, and I currently work for LGBTQ Connection here in Napa County. So I'm a youth worker that directly works with LGBTQ youth in our county, and actually this year I've had the privilege through Napa Health and Human Services to receive funding to work with GSAs here in our county. So I've been working with 10 schools this year. And every school has their culture, every school has their climate, and I think that one of the things that I realize is that these youth are still going through a lot. These youth are still going through a lot of depression. These youth are still very confused of who they are, but that these youth are not finding the safe spaces that they need in their schools. There's a study done by the San Francisco State University around family acceptance, which shows that youth that live in rejecting homes are 8 times more likely to commit suicide, 6 times more likely to report higher levels of depression, 3 times more likely to use illicit drugs, and 3 times more likely to be at risk for HIV and STIs. If we're not addressing this as a community, we're doing a disservice to our students. For me, this is highly important because I as a Napa High graduate, and a person that lived in the closet for all of my education, it was very difficult for me to navigate the system. not only did I identify as LGBTQ, but I identified as undocumented. And living in these two realities, going through this education system was really hard and difficult. But now, you know, I think I was able to find these safe spaces and connect to the right people to find the support that I needed. And now I'm very fortunate to come back to my community and provide that support for other LGBTQ youth. And it amazes me because the youth that I work for have a lot of potential, and really all they need is a safe space to do that. And you raising the flag is a statement to them that schools are a safe place for them, a place where they can learn, a place where they can be, and a place where they can be loved. So I hope and urge you all to fly the flag for the month of Pride. It would really bring a lot of joy to myself and the students that I work for. So thank you.
Hello, my name is Daisy Zamora. I am happy to represent Napa High as their 2020 senior class president. And I am part of the LGBTQ Connection leadership team. I have been for a few years. And I came out 3 years ago as bisexual. I'm still coming out now to everyone I meet. I have to make that decision whether or not to come out because I don't know if it's safe. And just seeing little pride flags, the rainbow, it makes me feel safe. And in classrooms, I have to check for that safe sign. And it's still scary because I don't know whether I'm safe to come out in this school where I'm supposed to feel safe. So I ask for your support. I promise that this will make a difference. And it does. And I'm lucky to have that safe place at LGBTQ Connection. But unfortunately, a lot of students don't have that safe place. And school should be their safe place because maybe they don't have it at home. So please consider this. It matters. Thank you.
I'll entertain a motion for the approval of Board Resolution 1930 supporting LGBTQ and Pride Month.
I'll move.
I'll second. Aye.
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 Passes.
So I want to thank everybody who came tonight regarding tonight's resolution in support of Pride Month. I do just want to make it really clear with the request that came regarding the request specifically around flying the flag, positioned the school district to have to look at flag policy, and it was really sort of a tight timeline for us. And so I just want to make it really, really clear that we wanted to show our alliance and support for inclusivity around LGBTQ, our LGBT community, our students, and our extended community. And so tonight's resolution is a resolution supporting Pride Month and demonstrating our alliance. And the last statement of the resolution reads as such: be it further resolved that the Board of Education for the Napa Valley Unified School District authorizes the superintendent to explore ways to express the district's commitment to a safe and welcoming environment for all students and families, and use district facilities as a non-public expressive vehicle for government speech in furtherance of the district's non-discrimination policies. So we'll be exploring sort of the expression for the future. So tonight is a first step in that direction. So I just wanted to make that clear, and we want to thank you for your presence here tonight.
Just like to say a comment briefly. Thank you for all for being here, and I had to write this because it's really dear and near to my heart. So I have 3 siblings that pertain to the LGBTQ community: Jessica, Erica, and Junior Martin, with a fairly new sister-in-law, Lara Vidal. And within my immediate family, we have an additional 5. While my community misses me doing public advocacy here during the month of June, annually I parade alongside my sister and her wife with UC Davis Medical. And I stand for LGBTQ because my family at one point was not accepting to my eldest sister, Jessica, and with my new sister-in-law, whom in their mid-40s just got married. And so they are high school sweethearts. So we can understand, or I understand, what was going on there. And so I stood with them, and me and my other siblings as well. So as a trustee, parent, community member, feeling safe and being a part of community as a whole is important to me. And a safe school environment is critical for student achievement and our success through my eyes. It's up to us educators, administrators, all of our staff to enable the entire student body to thrive. Although I know that June celebrates Pride Month, I would encourage you, all of you to come year-round and celebrate, not just during the month of June. Although with such limited time and meeting before the end of the school year, that is what I propose, that the entire community and or the LGBTQ staff, or excuse me, connections, LGBTQ connections, come out throughout the year. So I celebrate every time and I get a chance, not just in June. Thank you so much.
So this is also near and dear to my heart. I have LGBTQ youth in my family, and to see them go through the struggle, it's so personal. It's so connected to your heart and soul. But also, as a board member, you're looking upon all the children and all the students in our school district. I think it's part of our, it aligns with our strategic plans, it aligns with our mission, that we provide a safe space for our students, a place where they can be themselves and thrive and be healthy. And I think with symbols such as this one, it does send that message. I believe in that, and the board believes in that as we pass this resolution. And that Pride Month is just around the corner, and we have 1 week of school open during Pride Month. So Superintendent Rossana Musetti and I have had conversations and encouraging us to do whatever possible we can to raise the flag in our building. So I encourage you to also share, many of you said you talked to other councils and so on as to policies that have been shared. I encourage that to send that to our end, because it's part of the community to help build our community, and encourage us to find ways to do this. So we're absolutely open to it, and just looking forward to ending a very busy school year with our students and graduating. And but we also can't do that without providing that safe space for everyone. So thank you to all of you who spoke today and for sharing your story. It is definitely an exciting time, and we look forward to our school district. Well, we're already on board, but just having the opportunity to do more in the long term. So thank you, everyone.
Okay, if the LGBTQ community and all those that came to speak on behalf of the items, they can be excused if you like. If you have, but we do have public business we'll be conducting.
Climate change as well.
You're welcome to stay.
Well, you can stay, you know, it's fine.
We're just giving you the chance.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you. Thank you.
So there's Nancy Hale. She said.
Okay.
Hey, come on, you can move up. We have lots of empty seats up here. Is this lacrosse? Yeah, let's do it.
Does one of us have to make an amendment? I can say it. For Board Member Martin, as our chair for tonight, I'd like to propose that we move the lacrosse item sooner. I know it's getting warm and hot in here, and just homework and stuff, I'm sure. So that is item J4A. Make that motion.
I'll second.
All those in favor?
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Abstentions? Student?
Public comment on this?
Okay, I'll have you stand here on the side next to the podium. Karen, Eileen, Julia, Joe, and Zachary.
Yeah, we did, to move it up.
Okay, go ahead and start? Yeah. Okay, great. My name is Karen Fontanella. I am the parent of two NVUSD students. I have a son in elementary school and a son in Harvest Middle School. And I'm also the president of Napa Force, which is formerly known as Napa Youth Lacrosse Club. We are an organization that's been around since 2006, and we provide the youth lacrosse program for all of the youth throughout Napa County. And our organization was started with the intention of the founders to ultimately bring lacrosse into the high schools. And so, as you can see, you have a lot of really excited, enthusiastic students and parents that have been waiting for this day for a very long time. And so we really appreciate the opportunity to be here and talk to you about this. So before I get too far into it, we had a really exciting year this year. Our Napa Force girls high school team placed third in our NCGLA section, which is the Northern California section of youth lacrosse. And then our boys high school team, that's cheers for the girls.
Good job.
And then our boys lacrosse team is undefeated and is the champions of the NCGLA for Northern California.
Right.
And you can see they're
Very good.
And what's so cool about this is these are the kids that are going to be playing lacrosse at Vintage and Napa High School. And you have kids that represent both high schools throughout both our girls program and our boys program. And they are great students. They participate in all sorts of programs throughout the schools and have very enthusiastic parents as well. The reason I wanted to talk in particular is I want to talk about money. Money, of course, is the most important thing with all of this. Me, along with my army of parents, have committed to raise $50,000 at least to start the funding of the initial program. We are, as I said, a force of families, and I am certain we can raise at least that much because without even knowing that lacrosse was going to come in, we have $25,000 already set aside. And I think that's going to go a long way towards supporting our program to start. And you're also going to see the commitment of these families who are going to continue to support the program throughout the years. And to continue to support the boosters. I also have a commitment for $10,000 once it's approved to go specifically to Napa High boosters. And my understanding is there is a committed amount at Vintage High boosters as well, a substantive amount as well. And so the funding is here. You have great kids that are excited to play lacrosse for their high schools. And it's a group of kids that we want. We don't want to continue losing enrollment to the private schools. As a parent who's had kids playing for 5 years already, they want to play for their public high school. So thank you.
I'm going to talk really, really fast. Okay, my name is Aileen McGee. I am the mom of two boys, a sophomore at Vintage High School and a 2018 graduate of Vintage High School. I was asked to speak tonight about Title IX and my experience with girls lacrosse in Napa, and it's so nice to see so many of the players here tonight. First, some background. I'm originally from Pelham, New York, a small suburb in Westchester County, just 30 minutes north of Manhattan, with a population of 8,000 residents. I'm a public school kid, having graduated from high school with a student enrollment just slightly higher than Justin Sienna's. I literally grew up with the lacrosse stick in my hand, having two older sisters who played. However, I was very blessed to be able to play many sports growing up. My mother would tell us how lucky we were to have the opportunities to compete when so many before us could not because they were women. My high school only had a girls lacrosse team, not a boys team. This was a direct result of Title IX. Our district had needed to equal the playing field, and thankfully lacrosse was added for girls back in the early 70s. My sisters and I knew and appreciated that we were the direct beneficiaries of Title IX and realized that our youth, high school, and college sports experiences would not have been possible without the passing of it. During my 4 years of high school, our varsity football team won 1 game. It was pathetic. Our girls lacrosse team were league champions for 4 straight years, section champions, and qualified for states. We were good. In New York, we were known as the hotbed of lacrosse. Fast forward to 2008, when I had the honor of meeting Bryce Whitlock, one of the founders of this then new lacrosse league called Napa Force. Bryce told me that the mission was to make sure that lacrosse was adopted as a varsity sport in every high school in Napa. I was stunned to learn that a sport that was such an integral part of my youth was just in its infancy. Once I heard the mission, I was sold. For the past 11 years, I have coached every level, from youth through college, but specifically I'd like to speak about my experience at Justin Siena with an enrollment of 550 students. In 2010, when I was hired with Bryce Whitlock as my assistant, we debuted the inaugural girls and boys lacrosse program with JV teams. That first year, we had 25 girls sign up. Of those, 19 had never seen the sport. Not on TV, not live. They didn't know what it was. We went 14-0. The following year, in 2012, we debuted the JV and varsity teams, and we had 43 girls show up. That was 15% of the female population at that school. Fielding a team was not a problem. We were very successful in the NCAL, qualifying for postseason play in league and conference against some very tenured lacrosse programs. So we not only had the numbers, but we had the talent. As I told the Justin Siena board back in 2010, build it and they will come. And they did, and they still do. Now, in 2019, as I speak before this board, I say build it and they will stay. They will choose to stay in their school district and go to a Napa Valley Unified School because it offers varsity sports programs that it didn't have before. So do I believe this can be done? I do. I've seen it. I've done it. And with a population 1/3 the size of Vintage and or Napa. For those girls who have never played lacrosse and don't know what Title IX is, I say to you, show up, be a part of this team, get your friends out on the field, and fall in love with this amazing sport. And appreciate those who have laid the foundation to make sure that you have the same athletic opportunities as your brothers, your fathers, and your grandfathers have had. Continue to blaze the trail by ensuring that girls are given the same athletic opportunities now and in the future. So let's make this happen. Our high school kids need this. Our kids are ready for this. And look how many are here to support this tonight. Then hopefully one day, when California is known as the hotbed of lacrosse, we can all sit back and smile knowing that we were a part of it. Thank you.
Hello, my name is Julia Shane, and I'm here to talk to you all about lacrosse at Vintage. I have played lacrosse with Napa Force for 5 years. I have played soccer, volleyball, ballet, track, and gymnastics, but the one sport that has always been my favorite was lacrosse. I've learned so many valuable lessons from this sport. I've learned how to be a true team player, a hard worker, and overall a better athlete. These past 5 years have taught me so much, not only about the sport of lacrosse, but about myself too. I'm so excited to start high school, and a huge part of that is the possibility that lacrosse will be at my future high school. I have an older sister who is 16. She has also played lacrosse for 5 years. On her current Napa Force high school team, there are 2 seniors graduating this year, and there are 2 up-and-coming freshmen who will be joining them, myself and my close friend Capri. That is enough for a complete high school team, and I know that there are many other students who would like to try it if it is available at the high school. This amazing sport comes with a devoted family, friends and family. I know it will bring so much to our high schools in Napa. Thank you.
Is that good? Yeah. Hello, my name is Zachary Keller. I'm a senior at Vintage, and I play lacrosse with Napa Force, varsity lacrosse, and I When I started lacrosse in 7th grade, I definitely didn't think I'd be standing here on a podium talking to you guys about how much I love the sport. I thought it was one of those sports that was known everywhere and everyone knew what lacrosse was, like all the way up to freshman year when I went and started looking at colleges and realized that if I wanted to play lacrosse in college, I'd either, one, have to get a lot of money for across the country to go to school, or two, I had to be really good at lacrosse, and the second one's kind of hard because they're really good. But seeing lacrosse becoming a high school sport, especially for here in Napa, is kind of awe-inspiring to me. It's something that like I never thought would happen, because every year I've been playing high school. I played high school all 4 years, or high school lacrosse all 4 years, and I never thought that it would actually become a sport. And now that it's actually becoming something, it's kind of like, okay, this is gonna be the start of something big, and I'm happy we get to be a part of it. And thank you.
Thanks, Zach. Hi, everybody. My name's Joe Fisher. I've lived here in Napa for 19 years, and for 37 years I've followed the growth of lacrosse out on the East Coast and also here in California. I was the president of Napa Forest before Karen. Thank you, Karen. And I now serve as a board member for the Northern California Junior Lacrosse Association. It's an association of almost 53 clubs from Monterey all the way to Mendocino. There are roughly 439 teams and 8,000 youth players in that team. And I'm here tonight to basically just give you a couple of what I think are important points when you're considering whether to move forward on adding lacrosse at Napa and Vintage. So first, and it underlines what Aileen said, and I absolutely agree, that participation by girls will equal or exceed participation by boys. At Justin Siena, you talked about your experience there. I can tell you that in the current year there were 30 boys on the varsity team. The girls had both a varsity and a JV team with a total of just under 40 players. At NCJLA, from 2010 to 2018, we're seeing the same thing happening at U14. The growth in the girls' game is absolutely on fire. I see no problem with equity in boys and girls' game. Second, I want to tell you that lacrosse is a welcoming sport. Again, Aileen, you said it so wonderfully. And I'll tell you again, at this year, Justin, 60% of the boys' teams had never played youth lacrosse. 70% of the combined girls' teams were students that did not play youth lacrosse. They saw an exciting new sport and wanted to do something fun and play for their school. Again, Aileen, you said Justin's enrollment, 525, 580 right now when I last looked, less than 1/3 the enrollment of each Vintage in Napa. If Justin can succeed in fielding boys and girls lacrosse, surely our public high schools, 3 times that size with robust competition, NCS and VVAL, can do the same. Third, I want you to know that you guys aren't in this alone. I think in Damon Wright's proposal, he said that on the startup cost for the program, he saw that coming from the district and also from primarily local sources. One of the things that Damon forgot about is that U.S. Lacrosse has a program to provide equipment grants for new high school programs. I'm your partner in securing that support, and I believe the actual startup costs will be less. Fourth, Karen, you said this great. Lacrosse families are involved and they step up. They run games, they set up fields, they volunteer in various roles, they make fundraising work. As a youth club, when we needed sponsors to close funding gaps, our families responded. This last year, they came up with $15,000 in current year funding. Lacrosse families have already stepped up to support the funding need of starting the program at Napa on faith. I'm confident that once the sport's adopted, these families will participate in and do their part as part of the boosters. And last, I want you to know my freshman son and daughter are spectacular students, passionate, loyal, welcoming kids who value their friends and teamwork on the field and in the classroom. I see the same thing in many of their teammates and in a lot of the kids that I coached. I think lacrosse is part of what encouraged those traits. I'm thrilled the school district is considering bringing the same opportunity to more kids, and I want you to know that you have dedicated partner families that are going to make sure that this succeeds. Thank you.
Can I say something? Okay, I just want to bring one point up. Just how you brought up, well, the entire crowd brought up Justin Siena and how there was players that had never played. And if we're talking about equity, I would really suggest the outreach to the American Canyon High School. If there's no interest, just like Justin Siena had no players that had ever played, I would like to see ACHS have that same opportunity.
So, we're up for comments?
Yes.
Excellent. First, I want to start out by saying I support lacrosse. I've watched your efforts for a number of years. I am thrilled with your steadfastness in pursuing your goals. So do not take any of my further comments as a knock on lacrosse, but this item gives me a chance to talk about some concerns I have in athletics and to set expectations. And so my comments are directed at the adults, not the young people. I need you as adults to have absolute clarity in what role you are acting in, whether it's on the force side or now the high school athletic side in academic sports. And my expectation, and I'm sure you intend to fulfill it, but it's my one opportunity to set my expectations, is that you understand and can fulfill all of the requirements around CIF. It's not just about the field, the equipment, the rules, but it's about fundraising, it's about what you do with the concession stands, it's all the baggage that goes with academic sports. It's not as freewheeling as perhaps the club sport allows you to be. We've had other sports activities where the adults got sometimes let their enthusiasm for the activity get the better of them. I'm sort of a hard guy around this stuff because it's gone sideways on us, and if you read the newspaper the last couple of years, you'll get the drift. I have a couple of comments directed at staff. Mr. Desario was here. I've heard him, as we were talking about how to do the athletic trainer piece, rightly ask as his role is Chief Financial Officer as to where the money would come from. If he were here, I would point out there's a really big risk management component to adding what is essentially another concussive sport. And the numbers vary, but the ones I pulled over the weekend, girls lacrosse is slightly more injurious than boys lacrosse, probably because they have a bit more padding and some helmets. But I think how we address concussions and the health of our athletes is an existential risk to the district, and I need the staff to step up and make sure we find a way to do what's needed. So I'm all in favor of lacrosse, but we are adding a sport that is generally universally in the top 5 of the most concussive sports. So I would also challenge staff to, as we go through the next couple of years, develop a framework to evaluate how we add and subtract sports. Eventually, the decline in enrollment will find its way to secondary, and we will need a way to right-size the program. I may not be around for that discussion, so I'm prodding you to do it. Get started now, because it's going to come. So again, it has very little to do with lacrosse and more the challenges I see for our entire athletic program. So please understand, I'm supportive of lacrosse. Look forward to seeing if I can find my way out to some of your games. But this gave me a venue to expound on my well-known concerns around some aspects of athletics.
I think it allows the dialogue about the trainers to begin again in support of what Joe has said. And may I just say, Mr. Whitlock, it's been a long time. Congratulations.
I'll entertain a motion.
I'll motion.
Second.
First by Mr. Gracia, second by Mr. Shunk. All those in favor?
Aye.
Student? Abstentions? Motion passes.
I love lacrosse.
Don't you guys want to stay for the end? Stacy, hi!
Oh, no.
Really?
What is with the pictures tonight?
I do not know. I would have done my
more
hair.
pictures tonight. Thank you. Thanks very much. You want a picture? We can have a picture. Yeah, we can have a picture. Okay, why stop there? Field hockey, crew. Hey, guess what? We're all going to be going to the Ivy League then. Come on, we got a river. We can do crew.
Now we go to the beginning, right?
Listen.
Okay. So G reports. We'll go to G1, Board of Education, and Student Board Representative comments.
So I would like to get something clarified, or I just have one question. Is this my last meeting?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Well, I have like 2 finals. So first, I would like to thank Miss Waters for the gift, the novel. I got it, and it's in my car. Thank you.
Okay, you're welcome.
to begin with a report, we're in autopilot at this point. Every student is enjoying themselves to the fullest. The high schools across the district are now participating in their senior trips. Vintage is already enjoyed it. They enjoyed their trip to Disneyland. Napa, I hear they have a Grizzly Day. So yeah, I believe that's what it's called. Yeah, Golden Grizzly Day. That's what it's called. They have their senior trip next Monday. And I guess I would like to move on to just wrapping my time up here. So I would like to thank the board for giving me this opportunity to serve alongside you guys. I appreciate being involved, a part of a historic board with the passing of this lacrosse motion and the LGBT recognition. I would like to thank you for giving me the chance to become more involved in this community and give back to the community that welcomed me since day one in kindergarten. I am confident that without this district and every one of you who have served on this district, that I would not be able to be where I'm at currently. And I hope to visit whenever I come back from Rhode Island. So, thank you. Better. Yeah, I will. Thank you.
You're welcome.
So May, turns out busy time of the year in schools. I attended several functions. On the 11th, I was at the New Tech High School La Strada by Night, which was a nice intimate gathering where lots of funds were raised for the New Tech High School. And then on the 14th, I attended the Willow Elementary grand opening. It was great, and I even got to cut the ribbon, which was fun. And then also on the 14th, they had a vocal concert put on by the various high schools in town at St. John's Lutheran, which had some really good acoustics, and the performances were really good. And then on the 15th, I attended the New Tech High School Scholarship Assembly. I handed out some money on behalf of the Napa County Bar Association. It was great to see so many seniors in the New Tech High School graduating class of 2019 in attendance, and approximately 40% of the graduating class received some sort of scholarship that night, so that was pretty impressive. Then on the 20th, I toured the new Napa Junction Elementary site in American Canyon with Mike Pearson, and that really helped me to get a feel for what we're going to be doing on that site. And then also on the 20th, I attended the Napa High Senior Tea, which was a great celebration of the senior class at Napa High. It was well attended by the seniors and their parents, and they had a fun theme of Wizard of Oz, which had many administrators dressing up as characters from the movie, which was quite fun. It seemed like a good time was had by everyone, but curiously, they did not serve hot tea. Then, on the 21st, I attended the Classified Employee Barbecue, where I had the honor to help pass out some of the plaques to the Classified Employees of the Year from the various departments. And I shared some delicious ribs and tasty grilled vegetables while visiting with our fantastic classified staff. And that is the sum of all the activities recently.
Because I missed the last meeting, I attended the NVUSD Family Festival. It was well attended this year. Lots of things for family. I learned about some offerings at the public library I didn't know about, so it was all good. And I saw Miss Waters pushing plants on people. I too attended the Classified Barbecue and enjoyed some ribs where the meat just fell off the bones. It was so good. But it's also good to honor our classified staff that sometimes are in the shadows and do so much for our students and parents. I had the good fortune to, for the first time in 11 years, attend the Napa County Teacher and Classified Awards. So it was good to see our people honored much as they were tonight. And my last item to report is to brag on the locals down at my end of the county, which was the robotics competition, CSTEM up at UC Davis. ACMS and ACHS combined to win 25 awards. But the really stunning thing that I wanted to draw everybody's attention to, aside from the headlines, was the broad participation in this CSTEM program up at Davis. There were 10 teams from American Canyon High, 2 from Valley Oak, 1 from Vintage, 5 from American Canyon Middle. It was unclear whether this is our Redwood Middle or some other Redwood Middle because it's sort of a generic.
It was ours.
Terabytes? Okay. So I was going to lean on acknowledging them, and it was better to fail that way than the other way. And then the one that surprised me just a little is the American Canyon Elementary Schools got together and put up 1 team. So we have a deep bench in burgeoning robotics. I continue to ask, do not invent Skynet. But aside from that, go forth and have fun with robotics.
Okay, so on Monday morning into the afternoon, I went to Sacramento, or the beautiful city of Rio Linda, and it was to discuss the 2019 May revision with School Services of California. In a nutshell, for the May revision budgets, they will be tight. There are three big 3 indicators that most LEA, local education agencies, are going to be pushing for. So by June 15, negotiations are going on in Sacramento. By June 30th, the governor will act on the budget. Those 3 big indicators are, of course, our declining enrollment through California, our pension cost increases, and special education program costs. So just a little side note on each one of these: pension cost increase, CSBA, they've been a firm advocate for this. The governor may revise includes a proposal that would reduce the employer's share of the pension cost, but again, that would not pull us out of danger. These are one-time monies. I may remind everyone, declining enrollment, cost of living adjustment, COLA, cannot be our LCFF future. LCFF's future is the growth of Prop 98. Don't know what that is. It's our local control funding formula. And California needs a boost. We need new sources of revenue. So without additional money for LCFF, we were limited of what it can minimum guarantee and what it can fund. Our special education proposals are in the works due to high demand in programs, something that I've been talking to Mr. Shunk about because he has such a large history with special education. The state of California has high demands for programs and special requirements on our district with no money behind it. So Gavin has allocated $696 million, but the distribution would be different from the 602 formula for school districts' use. So they're looking at a proposal in the near future as to how this will be allocated differently. So I just highly recommended this would be a comment to our cabinet that we really look carefully into this because it's really important. It's really crucial. CSBA announced today during their webinar, I did that this morning too, but I had to step out for a personal emergency. The OEPA webinar this afternoon, they also mentioned again, they made a firm number that we are still 41st in the country in funding. So let's keep advocating for full and fair funding. And if we need help on that, fullandfairfunding.org, and I'm sure Robin can attest to that. Lastly, that evening, American Canyon Town Hall, I attended the AC Town Hall at ACHS in the library to discuss the future of American Canyon, American Canyon Middle School. We talked about enrollment, establishing a presence as a district in the city, being fiscally solvent in future programs, with as many as 80 to 75 attendees in the room. There were many concerns with parents, community members, public servants, and there was MVUSD staff. Trustees were Gonzalez Mares, Mrs. Gonzalez Mares, Mrs. Shankowitz, Mr. Shunk, Mrs. Waters, and I will have Dr. Mercedes finish this in her opening comments. And lastly, just as a reminder that we have a really refined food services program here. If you are aware, I have my side business, or my full-time business, not my side business. Oh gosh, I wish. My full-time gig. I did launch, yes. So January 1st of 2019, my safety consultancy firm launched a safety seminar calendar. And my business caters to the agricultural community, which are our farm workers. And so all of our farm workers have been fed through our catering program through NOSH. And so, yes. It is very awesome. So what we're promoting is they actually have said thanks. They've never eaten as healthy as they have coming to seminars where it's not a burrito, all-inclusive, carne asada and all that stuff. I know they miss it, but yes, our school district has supplied that, and of course I'm paying you guys. And but I have nothing but positive things. Everything from like our gosh, why can't I think right now, but ending comments from our students are, thank you so much, I didn't know that this was the food that was coming. So until they eat it, then I tell them this is what your children are eating in our schools. So very, very much appreciative. So kind of pushing that forward for our adult education. Sorry, I was going to be.
No, it's fine. I'll be short. I unfortunately couldn't go to the classified barbecue. I was pretty bummed about it. My husband's car broke down, and then he had to have my car, and then it was just so much that I'm like, I don't know if I can speed walk and be there in 5 minutes. Then I finally Googled, realized that it's going to take me 20 minutes, but at that point, I just could not make it. However, just wish, everyone in the classified, just thank you for everything that they do for our schools, and it was really nice to recognize a few of them at today's board meeting. So I think that's always important for us to spend some time doing that. I also was at the Will Elementary opening. As we go through our process as board members, it's really exciting to see our school, a new school open up. And I remember being here when it was just breaking ground, and we had the elementary school graders talk about why they chose the name Willow and the mascot and all of that. So it's just really exciting to now actually see them running around and going into their classrooms and playing, doing what they do best, being kids. And then I had the opportunity to go to West Park Elementary School's open house. This one I could walk there. It took me only 2 minutes because it's just down the street from where I live now. And just really exciting to see the campus, just a beautiful green area and all the classrooms. I happened to go to many of them, but the part I'll highlight was the AVID program. The fifth graders were going through their college career projects, and so super cool. You could put earphones on and then hear them talk about why they chose that career. Something you could just easily upload it. I don't know how to do that. And so it was just, and really exciting to hear the different stories that the kids have, from being hairstylists to microbiologists to wanting to go to Stanford. I mean, just the breadth of passion that's coming out of our students was just really exciting to see.
There's a lot of repetition here. I too went to the Willow Grand opening. The event was really a testament to the collaborative efforts of the two school communities, the diligence of our facilities team, the power of our bond dollars, and the magic of our students as they performed for us. And we had the privilege of meeting Pam Perkins' dad, who regaled us with stories of when he too was principal at the same site. I had the privilege of spending last Thursday with Terry Lynn and some of the students and faculty within special ed. Everyone to my right here has a title and a job description, and one of the many things that I have learned in this experience is that the descriptions don't do justice to the enormity of what they are responsible for. Terry Lynn allowed me a snapshot into the complexities and opportunities within special ed, and I was witness to the great diversity of the student body, their needs, social, emotional, physical, and academic. And I witnessed faculty embrace these students and create environments that were dedicated to their needs. I learned so much, and I am very appreciative of the generous amount of time that you gave to me. Thank you. Trustee Waters and I had the honor of conducting the student board member interviews, and we had 4 excellent candidates, I mean truly each worthy of the position, and we extended the invitation to Alondra Madrigal from Valley Oak, and she accepted. And I just want to wish congratulations to all the exceptional candidates. I too went through American Canyon. I will let Dr. Massetti address that. And again, the end of the year barbecue was filled with hardworking people, and it was nice to hear the recognition and appreciation for their continued dedication to NVUSD.
Well, that's great. Yes, I too went to the event at Willow Elementary, also the community meeting at American Canyon High School, and to the Teacher of the Year at NCOE, and our interviews of our students for board membership. I'm just so proud of them. We really have wonderful students in this school district. It's driven into me, every day. I also went to the Shearer Open House, a couple blocks from my school, which was standing room only. Many parents. It seemed like every single child had a parent there. And this is kind of a niche thing. Last week I went to Silverado Middle School, and Nick Chironich had his Silverado Shakespeareans put on 2 plays by Shakespeare, Love's Labour's Lost, which most of you have never seen, I'll bet, and Romeo and Juliet, and it was incredible. I mean, yes, it was abridged, but it was still 3 hours long, and all the dialogue was Shakespeare. These children memorized everything, and we have some terrific dramatic talent coming up into the high schools next year, and I'm looking forward to it. And let's see, I think it was last night I went to see Singing in the Spotlight at Napa High School. That was fun, and Dave Ruane does a wonderful job. And let's see, also food. We're all talking about food and our terrific lunch, our meal services. I went down to Silverado today and had a delightful lunch. Would you like to hear the menu? Or I had the chicken sliders. They do something with the cucumbers. They put a seasoning on it that the students really like, and they were lapping it up. Salad, salsa, and they had strawberries. And it was really a very good lunch, quite satisfying. And finally, I went to see, this is a former student. I mean, this is what we're all about here. A former student of mine, Kimberly Jessica Ramirez Gonzalez, graduated from UC Merced and invited me to her graduation, and I had the most fun. It was wonderful, and I'll tell you something. These students are not blasé. They are grabbing life with 2 hands, and I was just so excited. I was so excited to see her and her family and all of her friends. It was just, well, she graduated the last year I taught at Napa High, and she's a special person. So it's been a great couple of weeks.
Great. So thank you, trustees. I know it's late, so I'm going to keep this short because I also have a presentation later in the agenda. I just first want to, I think I do this every few meetings, but I definitely want to reiterate it tonight, especially since we have a couple of our principals in the audience this evening. It's a really, really busy time of year, closing the school year. The pace is just fierce and furious. And I know that they really have to dig deep for energy at this time of year. And so I just want to recognize all of our principals, especially as we lead up to our commencement ceremonies and all of our end-of-year traditions. I really want to thank them for, what's been what it continues to be a sort of smooth approach to the end of the school year. Very, very excited about, I think by the time we have our next board meeting, I would have attended all of my first graduations here as your superintendent in the Napa Valley Unified School District. And I'm just over the moon about those exciting events that are going to be upon us in a couple weeks. I do want to take a moment to just thank the American Canyon community. This week we did have community engagement out there on Monday night regarding the middle school, the proposed middle school through the Measure H project, and we are really grateful for their presence and engagement and response, because what's critical to us is to definitely be really honest and transparent around what our current challenges are as a school district, around particularly facilities and in the connection between facilities and finance. And so we want to thank them for their presence. We're also grateful for all of the American Canyon residents that attended the Bond Oversight Committee and provided public comment. And we're also grateful for the American Canyon Middle School teachers who I had the opportunity to address on Wednesday as part of a staff meeting. And we are committed to future engagement to continue the dialogue and discussion as we prepare to bring future recommendations to the board for consideration. And so I know Mike Pearson and myself are very grateful, and I think he might have a couple of things to say about it as well. So I'll conclude my superintendent's report for now.
You've moved the agenda around so much, I have no idea where we are.
Dana, any report? Executive staff, sorry.
Nothing to report.
Nothing for instruction to report.
Facilities and bond program update?
Yes, good evening, Acting President Martin, trustees, and Dr. Musetti. We do have a couple some updates. As was mentioned by a couple of the trustees, we had a very large and a very rich discussion in American Canyon earlier this week, where we discussed around the student enrollment challenges that we're facing, along with the operational costs. I too also want to thank the American Canyon community for engaging us in this dialogue, and we look forward to going back down to continue the dialogue with the American Canyon community as we discuss next steps. In addition, we also had a second meeting earlier in the month on Tuesday, May 14th, and myself, Warren Roca-Hunt, and Dr. Musetti were invited to come to the Stonebridge Charter Council to discuss around their facility as well. And we discussed with them options as we see available to the community of the Stonebridge community. We will be revisiting with them later this month, and I too want to thank the parents and the Charter Council at Stonebridge at Stonebridge Elementary School for their engagement, as well as their honesty and willingness to dialogue with us as we go forward. Lastly, you've mentioned about the Willow grand opening. For those of you that did not attend, we are going to show you, it's a 5-minute video, it's a little long, but I think it's worth showing to highlight the great opening that we had at Willow Elementary School. As many of you know, that were there, we had over 100 people participate, watch it, be a part of the ceremony. It was a very special ceremony, and knowing that John Holder, who was the first principal at El Centro Elementary School, and then realizing that Pam Perkins, who is the current principal at Willow Elementary School, that's her father. And just as a side note, Mr. Holder was also my principal at Salvador Elementary School when I first moved to Napa back in 1975. So without further ado, Travis, do you mind helping me out with this video? Welcome today to the grand opening. I know it's almost the end of the year, but the grand opening of Willow Elementary School. We really appreciate all of you coming out here for this.
So when we first kind of came together, Salvador and El Centro, or when we initially began coming together, we talked about it being not us or them, or we didn't want it to feel like stepchildren. Who does this school really belong to? Who's moving in and all of that. So we really talked about the fact that we wanted it to be a new school community together, that we built together, that we created our own traditions and our own special memories together. And so that's why we ended up renaming our school. And we had a committee, we had parents, we had community members, previous staff members, teachers, Jim Sheldon, Jeff Johnson were involved in the process. And we came up with just a very simple sort of classic name of Willow Elementary, but the acronym for Willow Elementary, WE, stands for we, and it really represents that it's not us and it's not them, but it's we together, and that's Willow Elementary. So.
Paws in the buttery dish. He's nibbling the noodles. He's munching the rice. He's slurping the soda. He's licking the ice. He lets out a roar if you open the door, and it gives me a scare. I know he's in there. That polar bear is in my Frigidaire.
When the road looks rough ahead and you're miles and miles from your nice warm bed, you just remember what your old past said. Boy, you got a friend in me. Yeah, you got a friend in me.
So I want to welcome everyone. Good evening. Thank you so much for being here. It's incredible to see the turnout, and I think all of you being in the audience is evidence of the degree of support that we have for our schools here in the Napa Valley Unified School District. So I know for me, on behalf of my school board who's here this evening and myself, we want to really thank you and express our gratitude for that community support, because our goal as your school district is to continue to commit and deliver on that promise of excellence in education.
In many ways, Ms. Perkins took some of the remarks I was going to make, but I wanted at both a personal level and on behalf of the board extend our deep appreciation for the work you've done these last 4 years, both you personally, your teaching staff, the classified staff, because as much as the buildings are impressive, and that's why we're here celebrating today, I think the harder part of it was the creation of Willow.
So I get the honor here to recognize some of the people that were involved in this long process that came about to build Willow Elementary School. It actually started in 2016, and it was a collaborative effort among several different entities that put a lot of time and energy to design and build a state-of-the-art elementary school that includes new modular buildings, renovated classrooms and a library, the brand new cafeteria, kitchen, performing arts area, along with beautiful grounds and fields here at Willow Elementary School.
So I do want to introduce someone who is pretty important to me, but I think also pretty important to El Centro, and that is John Holder, who happens to be my dad. And John Holder was the very first principal here at El Centro. I actually happened to be the very last principal here at El Centro, and I just think that's kind of cool. Yeah, I mean, who plans that? I never thought that such a thing would happen. It was so weird when I first came to work here, because I remember as a little girl playing here, playing on the rocket. If anybody remembers the rocket, the climbing structure that's probably incredibly dangerous. Sitting inside that office where I knew my dad sat in that office and worked there, and it was just very surreal.
It is a pleasure to be here tonight and see so many people that have come out to celebrate this great occasion. And I'm especially proud to be standing here with my daughter. So proud of her and for following in Dad's footprints. Here as principal about 17 years. Can't remember, it's gotten a little fuzzy in my mind. But I can say this, that they were the best years of my 27 years as principal, and I really enjoyed it.
There's David.
Look at those scissors.
I like the shades, David.
Oh, I like I like that.
It's our Vaughn logo.
Yes, so thank you for indulging us in that brief video, but it was a really nice opening, grand opening for the school. And I think one of my biggest takeaways, I mean, seeing that we didn't show you all the student docents who did the tours around, but I thought that was a nice touch. But probably the highlight was seeing Pam and how she was just looking at her father so admirably, and I just couldn't put a price on that. So anyways, thank you.
H, approval consent agenda. Consent agenda background information on these items is provided to the board prior to the meeting. A common motion takes action without discussion on a roll call vote unless discussion of items is requested by board members.
So for the good order of the board, I'll pull H2C.
I would like to pull H1B.
Okay.
I'll move the rest of the consent agenda.
I'll second.
First by Ms. by Joe and a second by Ms. Waters.
Aye.
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 HB1 Consultant Services under $10,000.
Yes. I had a question I wanted to ask, well, actually a couple. What is Adelante Summer School? Who participates in that, and why do we need so many artists for the program?
Again, Mr. Gracia. I did respond to that question, but I'll go over it with you. So Adelante is a part of our migrant education program. It is a credit recovery program that we run at the college. They are our partner for facilities. We like to have our kids out there because it gives them an understanding of what their future will look like, which is important for students who have experienced failure. Adelante is a 6-week-long program. It begins June 10th and ends July 18th. If you have failed a year's worth of course, you have to make up 40 hours of seat time in that course. So we're looking and talking about students who have experienced failure and are going to try and ameliorate that failure, but they are working in an area that is not their strength. So I drew upon my experiences with art integration. I worked with my former coordinator, Mikey Sulevy, to bring art integrated instruction into the core content classes 2 days a week for 90 minutes. So the reason for the artists, there are 8 core teachers, and they get 90 minutes of instruction 1 time a week. On Tuesday, these 4, and on Thursday, these 4, so that all students have an opportunity to continue standards-based instruction, but through the arts, and gives them a chance to experience culturally relevant content and allows them to express proficiency in ways other than simply reading, writing, and arithmetic. And it helps to keep students engaged when they are working in content that might not be their strength. And when they know they have to be there for 40 hours. And so that is what Adelante is. That is why we have art-based instruction, and it is our migrant program. Do you have further questions around that?
I don't. It sounds like a great program, so I'll motion to approve.
Second?
First by Mr. Gracia, and second by Ms. Gonzalez Mares.
Aye.
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 Thank you.
Thank you. H2C, renewal authorizing end-year budget transfers for 2018-2019. Excuse me, this needs a separate roll call.
I'll move the item.
Joe first, second?
I'll second.
Second by Mr. Gracia.
Aye.
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 I, presentations and discussion items, general services, I1.
So tonight, we want to just take a quick moment. Fernando, you were absolutely correct. This is your last and final board meeting as the student trustee on the Napa Valley Unified School District Board of Education. And I know on behalf of Georgina Martinez, Vera Morales in my office, myself, the entire Board of Education, and district staff, we want to just take a moment to recognize you and thank you for your service. It is not easy as a young person, especially an ambitious, committed, busy young person like yourself who has so much as a senior in high school, so much to do with applying to colleges and all of the extracurricular activities, to be here on Thursday evenings to make sure that student voice is present in our governance structure. And so just a big thank you. And more importantly, we want to say that we are so proud of you. You are an example of the type of student that we hope to send off into the post-secondary world and off to such an amazing institution like Brown University. We couldn't be more proud. And so thank you so much for all that you've done here, up here all year. And we have a little bit of a little symbol of our gratitude for you, okay? Let's move them through.
Okay. I-1B, Executive Cabinet Restructuring Proposal.
Okay, so this is a presentation. I know it's late, so I will move us along, and I'll just present from here. So tonight I am very, very excited because we will be approving the appointments of my new executive cabinet team. And that's really exciting for me as the new superintendent, because we know that as a superintendent, I can't do this work alone. And having a high-performing team is an absolute critical ingredient of our district success. And tonight, the appointments that you'll be taking action on later in the action segment of the agenda are grounded in this restructuring proposal. I want to let the Board of Education know that this exact restructuring proposal I have presented to various groups within the organization, the impacted departments, to the certificated management team in the department, to the classified management team. And tonight I just want to take a moment to highlight the what and the why of the restructuring that I am proposing for the executive team here moving forward in NVUSD. So why restructure at the executive cabinet level? I think it's really important to note, I think as a new superintendent, I've done my due diligence over the course of the last 10 months, particularly in the fall when I conducted a deep listening and learning tour, which then translated into a 90-day report, and continuing to do the work over the course of this first year. I think I've really learned what our organizational needs are, and then I'm also attuned to the talent that we have available to ourselves internally and externally to accomplish our strategic goals and better serve the Napa Valley Unified School District students, staff, and families to become an organization with continuous improvement that is a better organization than it is today for our future. This type of work of really being an adaptive organization that reconsiders how it's organized is really connected to two goals in our strategic plan. The first goal that I see draw the connection to is goal 2, effective employee relations and resource management. I think that in order to really think about how we can mobilize the talent in our organization for all of our employees, having an effective, efficient, and strategic organization of our senior management level makes sure that our work is better aligned and can be improved in order to accomplish all of those strategic goals. So I think it's a really, really critical piece to our resource management, both our fiscal resource management and our human resource management. And the second connection I make to the strategic plan is goal 5 around equity-centered leadership and inclusive organizational culture. As my restructuring proposal will reveal, I think that this goal is obviously focused on students and families and making sure that everyone in the organization feels like we are inclusive. But I also would argue that this goal is about having some intention, making sure that all segments of our workforce feel like they are valued and feel like the issues that affect the various segments of the work that we do in in a school district to educate our students, all feel like their work, the work of their department, the agendas of their department are being vetted, discussed, analyzed, and that decisions are being made at the most senior management level. And I think that the school district, based on my assessment early on, could do a better job of making sure that all segments of the workforce are being considered and that issues across all of the areas and categories in the school districts that it takes to educate our students are being discussed when our executive team gets together every Monday morning. So hopefully, as your new superintendent, you've seen I'm very, very dedicated to this concept of improvement. Go ahead, Mike. And coupled with improvement, I'm incredibly committed to getting results, achievement results, improvement across all arenas, results for our employees, thinking about things like concrete improvements around compensation, making sure that our finances are in the right order. All of these are the types of results that we need to pay attention to as an organization. And I believe having a senior management team appropriately structured based on our organizational needs will be the pathway to accomplishing the results that are articulated in our strategic plan. I work from this premise that a high-performing functional senior leadership team can actually make a difference in determining the direction of a school district. I believe the senior leadership team can set tone, they can set direction, and they can establish kind of the path for the rest of the school district. They can do that successfully, lifting the organization, or they can do that they can do it not so well and, potentially take an organization down a more unfavorable path. My goal with the restructuring of my executive cabinet is actually to lift our organization and become an organization driving towards excellence. So in order to accomplish that, I am proposing an adjustment in how the executive team has been traditionally structured in the Napa Valley Unified School District. And as you know, mid-year, I made a decision. There's been some transition at the senior management team, and that's actually given me an opportunity over the course of the last few months to spend a substantial amount of time in the facilities and finance arena. And the reason I spend time in the facility and finance arena, despite my passion clearly being teaching and learning and a focus on student achievement, is that I know that if our decisions and our goals and our actions around facilities and finance are not on the right path, they can become a tremendous barrier to being able to execute on everything that we want to do when it comes to teaching and learning and achievement. So without good decisions around facilities and getting a good hold on sort of our financial reality, this aspiration around improved teaching and learning cannot be accomplished. And so in my proposal, we know that historically facilities and finance have been sort of tethered and they've been generally under the business services division. But given the work that we need to do through Measure H and our commitments, I believe that we need to have an organizational leader who is focused on the facilities and the operational side. Given everything that over the last couple months that I've unveiled around our fiscal reality, I equally believe that there needs to be someone in the organization who serves as a critical financial leader to make sure that we can transcend what our current financial challenges are. So with this kind of, assessment and this proposal of untethering of finance, facilities, and operation a bit, while also advocating for the two of them to work in a high degree of collaboration and as a team, I'm going to be proposing that we actually signal to the organization that we have explicit leadership in both of these areas. So in this proposal, I am advocating for an assistant superintendent of operational services. This individual will be the individual in our organization who oversees 4 critical operational areas. Maintenance, grounds, and operations, within that we know includes all of our custodial services as well. School planning and construction, this is all of our Measure H and bond implementation. Our food services and our transportation services. And sort of the spirit of this position is that we believe in order to deliver on that educational promise that we have for our students, that what our schools look like actually matter, what our students eat and the food that we serve them actually matters, and that getting them to and from school safely also actually matters. And it's these services that make sure that our schools are more learning ready every day. And I believe we need someone in the organization to pay close attention to these operational areas. And to be honest, in my assessment, I believe that some of these departments have been left on the margin and not at the center of the work in the recent past. Similarly, I believe that given our financial reality and all that we aspire to accomplish as a school district, we need an assistant superintendent of business services. And I expand the definition of business services because I think what's really, really critical as we think about being an organization in 2019, a school district serving community and students in 2019, that we need to think about finances more broadly than they have been traditionally thought of in most school districts, but particularly here in NVUSD. So the Assistant Superintendent of Business Services will oversee the traditional areas of finance, which include fiscal services, accounting, payroll, and purchasing. But I am advocating for us to shift technology back to business services, data management to business services, and then enrollment and attendance. Let me speak to the last 3 bullets because I think that's where some of the newness in this position comes. So I believe that technology is critical, obviously, for transforming teaching and learning, and that technology needs to be successfully integrated into classrooms across the buildings in our school district. But also an emerging need that I have noted over the course of this first 10 months serving as your superintendent is that we need to really have someone in the organization who also leads technology from the standpoint of how do we use technology to actually conduct our business. And right now, we run a fairly antiquated operation when it comes to business services, our personnel office, even within our instructional division. And so we're looking for a leader who in our organization can take us truly into the 21st century, not just from this classroom pedagogy standpoint, but as an organization trying to accomplish work more efficiently and more effectively. And so I believe that technology will play a critical role in that. Data management is really, really important in a school district in 2019 because it is the way we manage our data really does influence so much of our financial reality. And so making sure that our data is clean, that we are making data-driven decisions when we're considering things around, instructional services, purchases, but when we're thinking about erecting facilities, when we're thinking about maintenance projects, when we're thinking about adding sports like we did this evening, it's important for us to really ground those decisions in data because it's understanding the data and the connection between the data and our decisions and the impact that it will have on our overall finances will ensure that we can maintain fiscal solvency and be a viable organization in our future. And lastly, enrollment and attendance. Enrollment has historically here in the Napa Valley Unified School District been nested and led within the instructional division. And I want to note that I think the individuals who've been touching this process have been doing an extraordinary job with a very paper-based system and a very people-contingent system. And I also want to honor and recognize the work of all of our office managers because we currently have decentralized enrollment. And so we know that staff at our schools are doing the tremendous lift of enrolling our students and re-enrolling students annually. But what that tells me is that the organization has not strategically thought about the connection between enrollment and attendance and the financial reality. So enrollment is our direct mechanism for generating revenue to be able to accomplish all of our strategic goals. And so we need the financial leader in the organization to have a close affinity to enrollment, to manage that process so that as we make financial decisions, we have real-time enrollment data that will serve us as we not only think about our investments, but also think about our program development. And all of this information will better serve all segments of the organization, including the Instructional Services Division. With those shifts, with the shift of enrollment moving over to business services, with the shift of technology and data management returning to business services, this is the landscape of what ends up remaining in the Instructional Support Services Division: elementary education, secondary education, special education, student services, assessment, and then innovation and achievement. And then we will, of course, I know I always, our HR leader always looks at me when I present this slide, because I've presented it with several groups, and it by no means indicates that there's less work in HR. 85% of what the organization does is human resources. We are nothing. It's one big, large bullet point, but we know our Assistant Superintendent of Human Resources, who has the tremendous job of making sure we are serving our almost 2,000 employees effectively, will continue to do the oversight and all the responsibilities associated with managing certificated and classified human resources. So some key highlights of the proposal. The proposal does not include an additional add of what we call FTE, or a position, and I'll make that known in a moment. And I want to just note that for the record, that's really critical, because it wouldn't be very smart of me, given our current financial reality, to add an additional assistant superintendent. And so the way in which I'm accomplishing this, with it being close to, cost neutral, again, not through the addition of a position, definitely we will incur some costs with some advancement in people's job titles and responsibilities, is that you will be taking action on Mike Pearson, who currently serves as the Executive Director of Facilities Maintenance and Operation, being promoted to the Assistant Superintendent of Operational Services, and his position will not be backfilled. So he will continue to oversee all of school planning, construction, facilities, and operations, but now is tasked with the responsibility and oversight of food services and transportation services, in order to make sure that we have excellence on the operational side of the house. So the proposal doesn't involve an add of FTE or position, but it does involve restructuring, it involves restructuring that necessitates reassignment and expansion of supervision and responsibility. So I just want to make that very clear. I think I've already noted technology, data management, and enrollment, because of the connection of finances, will shift from instruction to business services. What I'm most excited about is the candidate, Rabinder Mangwala, who you'll be taking action on later in the agenda, is actually has a business, a finance, technology background, but also has a certificated background. And so I think it's great that we have a business leader who can navigate the classified side of the house, but also has his roots and his educational career on the instructional side. So we'll be able to tune in and pay attention not only to technology for business services purposes, but also to transform teaching and learning that happens in the classroom. And so this proposal I bring to you today at the end of almost my year one, to restructure for starting July 1, moving forward with the appointments that you'll take action on. And I want to note that to me it was really important in this first year to make sure that the executive structure gets aligned, accurately, strategically, based on what I've assessed as our needs in the organization, but that next year will be the year of really then thinking about all the details that fall under that. Because once you do a restructuring at the executive level with this degree of intentionality, next comes all the detail work around the middle management layer, the classified layer within those departments, and it usually takes the course of 6 to 12 months to sort of figure those things out. And so we'll be working on that this year, and we'll determine better ways to be more efficiently and effectively organized at the middle management layer throughout the course of 1920, and likely bring to you a proposal that will reflect that and make it very public and known to the community how we are organizing ourselves as an adaptive organization moving forward. I believe organizing ourselves in this way will bring cohesion, which I noted in my 90-day report that I thought there was a siloing across the divisions. I'm looking to eliminate siloing, and I'm looking to create a high degree of integration and cohesion across the divisions. Alignment across all of the work that we do. Teamwork, better teamwork and collaboration, and I firmly believe that this needs to be modeled from the top. If you do not have a high degree of teamwork and collaboration from your most senior team, then it does not cascade through the remaining layers of the organization. And I believe that this structure will position us to model effective teamwork and collaboration. Clarity around function and role. And then ultimately what my goal is whenever I decision make is to create better outcomes for students. And so with that, I'll take any questions or feedback on the restructuring proposal. And just to note, you will be taking action on the appointments that support this in the action segment of the agenda.
Comment. I look forward to these restructurings taking place, as I think they'll have a very positive influence on our district and the ability of our district to support students and achieve better learning outcomes.
Thank you, Trustee Gracia. Okay, so this is our first presentation to trustees and to the public. Just to note, as part of our Goal 6, which is our governance goal, we committed as a team to make sure that we were going to update our policies to make sure that all of our policies were current and legally compliant. And so I've said it before, I want to commend staff, I want to commend Trustee Shunk, who played a critical role as a representative from the board to present to you the full series from the 1000s to the 9000s, and including the board bylaws, an entire set of CSBA-aligned board policies that if the board takes action on the June 13th board meeting to move these forward, beginning July 1st of the 2019-2020 school year, the school district will have all current and legally compliant board policies, and we will be putting into place a quarterly structure where a board policy committee hopefully will be reviewing policies that come from CSBA to make sure that, given this investment that we made, that now that we've got sort of a fresh start and clean slate and we're completely current, that we will maintain being current and will never allow ourselves to slip back in a situation where our policies don't remain relevant and current. Any comment or questions? Thank you, Joe. Thank you, Joe.
Yes, I wanted
to review them all as we go.
Right. I want to thank Joe, too. And actually, I started reading them this weekend, and it's quite long. And then I went back and realized that, actually, I don't have to have it read for a couple of weeks.
Yeah.
You know, so I'm kind of ahead of it. But I did take note under the philosophy section. They were talking about 21st century skills, which, you know, I'd always kind of been wondering what exactly they were. Nobody in years has been able to tell me about it, what exactly they are. It's 2019, for goodness sake. And, well, we listed them. A lot of them are, you know, 20th century skills with technology added in. These skills are I'm quoting here, are most effectively developed through inquiry-based methods, project-based and problem-based learning. And here's what I underlined. In conjunction with direct instruction. There was a phase a while back where it's as if the teacher was dismissed as the sage on the stage and was, you know, some of us thought that, you know, we were considered superfluous to the entire educational process, although we came in handy when it came to writing letters of recommendation. So thank you for this.
So I have a couple of quick comments because we'll largely be spending the next meeting approving this. And it's a question really to Rosanna. When do you want to address amending Board Bylaw 9320 regarding the first and third versus the second and fourth?
Oh, well, thank you for bringing that up. So, did we leave it first and third in there?
Apparently so.
We did? Okay, that's a problem. So I'll bring it forward for June 13th. Thank you for noting that, trustee.
On a personal note, I look forward to board discussions outlined in Board Policy 6178, for those that aren't
Of course you do.
through. It has to do with one of my favorite topics other than athletics, which is CTE. You know, in the very near future, the board will adopt these board policies as best practices, vetted by legal, CSBA, domain expertise within the organization, and occasionally our own judgment. We, the board, do not need to be experts in all 1,984 pages, but we ask staff to be familiar with and use the policies within their domains of expertise. These are your standard operating procedures. I noted in Board Policy 2210 where we enable the staff to make use of board policies except when a situation not anticipated in their professional judgment produces an inequitable outcome. But then you are to inform the board of that discretionary use of judgment, which I think is a necessary step in providing feedback loop for future board policy revisions. And with that, I'll get off my soapbox.
Good job, Joe.
Any other comments? I2, Human Resources. I2A, sorry, we already did that. I3, Instructional Services. I3A, Introduction of High School Supplementary Instruction Materials, Recommendations for English.
So we're going to invite Dr. O'Connor, principal of Vintage High School. And I want to thank them because this was a really long meeting. And I appreciate you and your staff hanging in there until the end here. So I'm just going to toss the mic to you so you can explain the item. You have it as a presentation. It's also as an action item under J. So we'll have Dr. O'Connor present on the item right now, and then you'll be taking action on it later in the agenda in section J.
Okay, thank you. The two teachers that I have with me today are Jenny Lamont and Newton Thomas. Jenny and Newton have been the leads on the initiative that we're working on. This initiative is not something that we're just doing this year, but something that we are doing over a 3-year period. So I just want to give you some context. They will be able to do a little bit more of the specific answering to questions that may arise. First, I want to start by explaining to you that the CRUSH initiative that we have at Vintage is really foundational to the work that we do. CRUSH stands for Community and Culturally Responsive, Sustaining, and Humanizing, and really directly aligns with goals around instilling multicultural competency, which I know is part of our strategic plan. Our CRUSH initiative has been something that we've engaged in multiple ways over the last years at Vintage High School, and one of the ways that we've done that is through our English department. In English, CRUSH is part of themes that we have at each grade level. So we kind of enact CRUSH in 9th grade by asking students to explore who am I, delving into their identity and exploring who they are as a person through the literature they're reading, through the conversations and discussions and writings that they engage in. In 10th grade, we ask students to answer the question, who are you? Not only in reflecting on their own identity, but in learning about who is with them in their classroom. In their junior year, we ask students, who are we? Understanding not only who's in your classroom with you, but who is part of our broader community. And finally, in senior year, we ask students, who will I be? Now that they know who they are and who's with them, who's part of their larger community, what will they be for their world? And that is part of our senior capstone, which I had the pleasure of being on our senior boards the last 2 nights, watching students take social action in their community in a variety of ways, and putting this 4 years of knowledge to work. However, while we've had these 4 levels of themes, and I'm sure that our English teachers have done an amazing job just kind of incorporating that in the work that we've always done at a great level, we really feel like this is an opportunity to really make sure that the literature that students are engaging in more directly aligns with that and provides a really inclusive and diverse set of readings for students as they explore who they are, who others are, and who's part of their larger community. This process has looked like the entire English department at Vintage working very closely with me during our late starts. I meet with them at least every other week. Sometimes we've met every single week this year, as well as in conjunction with Marianne Valles as she oversees curriculum and instruction. I've made sure throughout the entire year that we are in great communication, that we're on the same page, that the support is still there, that all of my teachers in the English department are all in to do this work, not just this year, but for the foreseeable future. So this isn't like an adoption that you might see where, we read a few books and we want to get them adopted and they might get read. This is really a commitment to do work over the long haul. This year we focused on developing the units and the literature that we'd like to incorporate into our 9th and 10th grade curriculum for next year. So our focus right now is on adopting texts for 9th and 10th grade. Our goal is the implementation of that work next year, and that next year we would be developing 11th and 12th grade. So you may be seeing us back next year with 11th and 12th grade requests with the goal of implementing 11th and 12th grade in 2021. Only in an English department can you engage in this work, and when teachers are all on board, they are excited to read a stack of books over spring break and produce book reports that they share with each other during collaborative late start periods. I have not overseen an English department until this year, and I was absolutely stunned. I also read a couple of the books. Our clerical staff in the office was reading the books and engaging in conversation with teachers about them. Our SRO read the book around the one that most specifically talks about police interactions with some of our minority communities. So our school resource officer read that book and has been in conversation with us. This has been a really robust process of reading and choosing these books. They're not just books that we thought were kind of popular and cool right now. We've worked with consultants, we've worked with each other, and we've worked in a collaborative and efficient way that I've really never seen happen in education. Moving an entire English department and the college prep curriculum of all 9th and 10th graders in a school with everyone on board in less than 1 year is really remarkable, and that's why we're asking that we get an efficient and hopefully big thumbs up this evening so that we can make sure that we have those texts for students next year. Something that I would also like you to know is that we are not eliminating the entire traditional curriculum, right? These are supplemental texts that will balance the texts that we currently have, some of which, I'm just going to be honest, are kind of a white male grounded perspective. Certainly perspectives that may be part of more affluent cultures, and I think are not something that we want to throw out, right? They're a part of classics, they're a part of literature, and they are an important perspective and cultural place. However, it's not balanced, it's not inclusive, and it's certainly not going to be helpful in helping students explore who they are and who others are and who our community is if the literature doesn't reflect that, right? So with that, we feel that our ask for the adoption of these texts and really being open and honest with you about the fact that this is the work that we're doing and that we intend to continue to do is we feel it's been a strong collaborative effort. It's been a thoughtful effort. We think it's really cutting edge, and we think it's great for NVUSD. We're excited to share with any other high school or middle school or anyone else who wants to do this work. And we thank you for your time tonight.
Thank you.
Your microphone.
Do the English departments of the various high schools, do they get together to collaborate? I know that there are department meetings amongst yourselves, but is there that open dialogue about the very kind of progressive ideas that you're presenting here tonight, so that the equity in what we present, because if you look at the course catalog, it's representative of our high schools. Is there an opportunity for this dialogue to occur?
Jenny can come up. Yeah, obviously Jenny and Newton know exactly what it looks like. I will say that next year, because of our changing schedule in collaboration with transportation, we will be on an early release schedule along with the other schools next year. So we will have at least that opportunity in terms of the cross collaboration. I also know that Marianne Valles has reached out to Jenny and Newton already about presenting this work during one of the two professional development days next year.
Yeah.
Right. But I don't know if you want to talk about what it usually looks like.
I think that we would welcome that. We missed that. We used to get together with Napa High English Department over the district writing assessment. And that was really rich time for me as a beginning teacher 25 years ago, to be able to hear from those English teachers and share. So I think we'd be really open to it and love that.
Well, I commend the work.
Thank you.
Trustee Martin, just since they've hung this stuff, can I advocate to move the item for action and vote? It's actually J4H on the printed one is off compared to the public posted one. So it's an action item J4H. I just think it would be great if they were here when it got approved, and I want them to go home because they have to teach tomorrow.
Right, okay. Want me to make a motion?
First by Ms. Waters.
You don't want me to bloviate about it?
I'll second.
Marianne Valles and Damon Wright invited me over to a meeting, and, we discussed the books, and I talked to you earlier about, how enthusiastic I was, particularly about the poetry book is terrific. So, I am happy to make a motion to accept the supplemental books.
I got a second. Oh. First by Ms. Waters and a second by Mr. Gracia. All those in favor?
Aye.
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 Thank you.
And
Congratulations.
Thank you very much.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you for your hard work.
So that gets moved.
Yeah, I know. Jenny was a teacher of the year.
Okay. All right, J1C, approval of the calendar of board meetings for 2019-2020.
I'll move the item.
First by Joe,
Second.
second by Ms. Elba Gonzalez Mares. All those in favor?
Aye.
Student? He'll abstain.
Yeah, you don't have a phone in that race anymore.
J2, facilities, J2A, facilities, maintenance, and operations, NDM 060319, PD notice to award.
So I was glad to see that this came in a little bit under the previously projected amount, so I'll motion to approve that.
First by Mr. Gracia.
I second.
Second by Ms. Jankowicz. All those in favor?
Aye.
Student? J2B, Resolution 1928, approving correction, grant deed, and certificate of acceptance,
A motion.
Second.
First by Mr. Gracia, second by Mr. Shunk.
Aye.
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 Human Resources, J3A, approval of employee agreement between Napa Valley Unified School District and Dana Page as the Assistant Superintendent of Human Resources.
A motion.
I'll second.
Motion by Mr. Gracia, second by Ms. Gonzalez Mares. All those in favor?
Aye.
Abstentions? Student?
Congratulations, Ms. Page.
It's not one bullet point. He abstained. J3B, approval of the employee agreement between Napa Valley Unified School District and Rabinder, right?
Rabinder.
Okay, Mangwala, as the Assistant Superintendent, Business Services.
A motion.
A first by Mr. Gracia, second by Ms. Waters. All those in favor? Aye. Abstentions? Student?
Aye.
Congratulations. Welcome.
So, Mr. Mangala, just, first of all, we know he's the right hire because it's 9:57 and he's still here. But given that he's new to the organization, I wanted to give him a moment to just say something to the board.
It's just very brief. So first off, I want to thank the trustees and Dr. Massetti, the superintendent, for this wonderful opportunity to be a part of the team here in Napa Valley Unified. I look forward to continuing the wonderful work that you're already doing towards your strategic plan and rolling up my sleeves and getting started right away. So thank you very much.
Welcome. Yeah. Welcome and congratulations, Rob.
Thank you so much.
Well, what a great meeting for him. Yeah.
You can go home now. Okay.
J3C, approval of employee agreement between Napa Valley Unified School District and Michael J. Pearson as the Assistant Superintendent, Operational Services.
I'll move.
I second. First by Mr. Gracia, second by Ms. Jankowicz. All those in favor?
Aye.
Student? Aye. Okay.
Hold on. Congratulations to Mike Pearson.
You don't get to go.
Yeah, you're on the clock here right now, so you need to stay. Keep scrolling.
Wow. I didn't see that as a bullet point.
Other duties as assigned.
Getting late here.
J3D, Power School quote for services from 7/1/2019 to 6/30/2022.
I'll move the item.
First by Mr. Shunk,
I'll second.
second by Mr. Gracia. All those in favor? Aye. Student? Okay. Instructional services. Give me 1 second. J4B, approval of agreement between the Regents of the University of California Lawrence Hall of Science and Napa Valley Unified School District for K-12 Science and Design Implementation.
I'll move.
First by Mr. Gracia,
Second.
second by Ms. Gonzalez Mares. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Student? Abstentions? Motion carries. J4C, adoption of new and revised high school courses, study for career tech education.
I'll move.
First by Mr. Gracia. Second. Second by Ms. Water. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Student? J4D, approval of contract between Napa Valley Education Foundation and Napa Valley Unified School District for the Legacy Youth Project.
I'll move.
First by Mr. Gracia, second by Ms. Jankowicz. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Student? Thank you for waiting patiently.
You can go home now, too.
Thanks for coming.
Hang it out, guys.
Good seeing you guys.
Good night.
Let us
Thank
know.
you.
Night.
Thanks for hanging in there.
J4E, approval of consortium application for career technical education incentive grant program funding with contribution from Napa Valley Unified School District and matching funds.
I'll move.
Motion by Mr. Gracia,
Second.
second by Ms. Jankowicz. All those in favor?
Aye.
Student? J4F, approval of college and career access pathways, agreement between Napa Valley Community College and Napa Valley Unified School District for 2019-2020 school year.
I move.
Second.
A motion by Ms. Jankowicz, a second by Mrs. Gonzalez Mares. All those in favor?
Aye.
Student? Abstention. Okay. J4G,
I have a comment on this one.
Approval of Navient software agreement to assist high school students with college planning and preparation.
So it's come to my attention that we have this program already in place, and it's getting light use at the middle school and at many of our high schools outside of Vintage High. And so what I'd like to hear is a concrete proposal at a future board meeting of how we intend to implement this technology at all of our secondary school sites in a robust way. I intend to vote yes today with the understanding that a robust implementation plan will be forthcoming at a future board meeting. And if we don't get a robust implementation plan, which we then successfully execute, then when this contract comes back for approval next year, I would change my vote to a no.
So can I just, Mr. Gracia's comments, can we move those to future agenda items for N?
Yes, thank you.
Okay.
My only comment would be, I didn't realize that it wasn't robust in other schools, but I received some calls from counselors from Vintage High School today, and their comments were that they love the system, that it was widely utilized. I know that my son used it in his collegiate pathway very effectively, and that they actually would like to see it expanded and other iterations thereof brought forth. So maybe that analysis would be important because it's clearly being used successfully at one site.
Yeah, so just a little bit of history. I'm familiar with Naviance. This will not be my first round with system-wide, district-wide implementation of the Naviance tool that's been historically provided by the Napa County Office of Education here in Napa Valley Unified School District. And because it wasn't a district program, I think there was a lot of perceived kind of option, it being optional. Is it going to stay? Should I invest my time in implementation? It's not an NVUSD investment. So this year, given our strategic plan, we are buying our own licensing. With this contract, you have 40 hours of training within the contract, and the launch of that will be in the fall, where Naviance will be spending the day in October with all of our counselors, grades 6 through 12. So that'll be the formal launch of implementation for a more district-wide, robust effort around its use.
We certainly used it when I was at Napa High.
Good. Yeah, there's some readiness in the system for it, but now that it's something we're owning and we're putting professional development behind, we plan on seeing deeper implementation.
I'll move.
Second by Mr. Gracia, second by Mr. Shunk. All those in favor?
Aye.
Student? Aye. School planning and construction. J5A, SPC 13.519, request approval to call for request for proposal for security audit services.
So moved.
Second.
A first by Mr. Shunk, a second by Mr. Gracia. All those in favor?
Aye.
Student? Motion passes. J5B, SBC 27.3117, approval of SW Allen change order number 4 for the central kitchen.
I do have one quick question that just occurred to me. Are we almost done with the central kitchen change orders now?
I would like to say yes, but I'm afraid we'll still have a few coming forward. Small, but still a few coming forward.
All right. I'll move to approve.
First by Mr. Gracia,
Second.
second by Mr. Shunk. All those in favor?
Aye.
Student? Motion passes. J5C, SBC 29.8317, request approval to declare surplus 18 relocatables at Snow Elementary School.
I'll move.
First by Mr. Gracia,
Second.
second by Ms. Gonzalez Mares. All those in favor?
Aye.
Student?
Just note for the record, those were 30-year-old portables we're declaring surplus. I think we got our use out of them.
Well, then they can exchange the ones in the D wing for those.
Student agree, voted aye.
Nothing but
Okay.
consistent.
J5D, SPC 16.219, request for qualification and proposals for a district-wide clock bell paging system modernization project.
All motion.
By Mr. Gracia,
Second.
second by Mr. Shunk. All those in favor? Aye. Student? Motion passes. SPC 26.117, public hearing and adopt resolution 19 through 26 to approve the housing plan and use of pupil grants for new construction funding for the new River Middle School project.
I'll move.
First by Mr. Gracia.
Hold it. We have two pieces. You got the public hearing, which you've got to open and close.
I'm sorry.
Then adopt the resolution. Then you can use his motion.
There we go.
Okay, so public hearing, we open it up. Anyone would like to speak? Okay. We close open comment, public hearing,
And you have a motion.
and I have a motion by Mr. Gracia.
Second?
Second by Ms. Gonzalez Mares. It's a roll call.
It's a resolution, so yes.
You highlighted it on mine, so I think that's fine.
Aye.
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 J5F, school site visitor sign-in kiosk.
A motion.
Motion by Mr. Gracia,
I'll second and then make a comment.
second by Mr. Shunk.
So, I hope, since our new tech manager just left, that we have the training and the ability to support and supply this at 30-plus sites. I've signed in at a number of our campuses, because as an adult male, I always get caught out if I don't. So, but if we're going to a technology-based system rather than sticky notes that they stick on you, it's sort of important to make it work, because that's how we keep control of who's on our campuses. So it's an editorial comment.
Another one of those places where it'd be good to have robust rollout plan.
Did you have a comment, David?
I just said noted and yes.
Okay, thank you.
And then I have a question about this. Is the check-in also bilingual or trilingual or?
That's a really good question. I'm sure there's a language feature. Let me find out. Let me look and then I'll get back with you.
Right, thank you. May I have a comment?
We'll have to roll that into the implementation plan.
I'm sorry, I didn't hear.
He asked if there was an implementation plan for the Vintage Farm.
That's a good question. I don't know. We didn't purchase anything for the Vintage Farm. You're talking about for your implementation plan for the farm?
Yeah, for the.
Is there a kiosk sign in?
Yeah, I mean, if it's a facility where we have kids checking in, I'm sorry, I was making notes over here.
I'm sorry, it's late.
I turned into a pumpkin at about 9 o'clock. So, yeah, I mean, if we have kids checking in and out, if it's a facility where kids are coming in and out, then we'll order one for there.
Thank you.
Yes. Okay, so I have a first by Mr. Grassi and a second by Mr. Chunk. All those in favor?
Aye.
J5G, SBC 29.8217, purchase of lunch shelter for Irene Snow School through Piggyback National Purchasing Partners Contract 570.
I'll motion and comment after we get a second.
First by Mr. Gracia, second by Mr. Chunk.
I think it's important that the kids have shade structures, so this will help keep them dry in the rainy time and cool in the summer. So I like this idea.
Because I was going to go there.
Go ahead.
Okay, first by Mr. Gracia, second by Mr. Shunk. All those in favor?
Aye.
Student? Motion passes. K, informational item. K1, business and operations. K1A enrollment reports. Excuse me, hold on one second, I need to scroll through the original one. Okay. Any questions or comments?
Nope.
Okay. Okay, board representative reports. If I call your subcommittee, please let me know if you have a report. L1, Napa Valley Education Foundation. No report. Special Education Community Advisory Council.
I think that was covered at the last meeting with the inclusion awards, so I don't think there's anything special to report there.
Okay, L3, City of Napa Liaison Representative.
We are scheduled to meet in the next couple weeks.
Okay, City of American Canyon Liaison Representative, myself and Joe.
We have a meeting scheduled for June 4th.
June 4th.
Coming to a theater near you.
L5, Town of Yountville Liaison Representative.
We're, I was going to say, we're working on.
In the next couple weeks.
Yeah, we're working on getting a meeting.
Okay, L6, Athletic Task Force.
The May meeting was postponed until after we dealt with our lacrosse friends tonight. So there will be one more meeting before we break for the summer.
L7, Equity Committee. Nothing to report. Myself and Alvaro Gonzalez Mares. And L8, Budget and LCAP Advisory. Nothing to report. They have finalized for the school year. M, additional suggestions and comments from board members and superintendent. Anyone? Fernando, I wish you much luck.
Thank you.
Mucha educación. So, te deseo muchísima suerte. Okay. Any suggestions, comments? Okay. Future agenda items, Mr. Gracia?
Yes, we'll revisit hopefully we can get some more information on some of the technology purchases that we approved tonight and how those will be implemented at future board meetings. I would love to hear more robust implementation plans, especially as to the, oh gosh, hold on, I gotta look back.
With regard to Naviance.
Naviance, thank you. And the kiosks, yeah.
Okay.
Congratulations, Ms. Martine, on squeezing in a big agenda, getting us done by 10:30.
Okay, future agenda items, sorry.
Just as a follow-up to our passing of the LGBTQ resolution, I like to kind of set up a time as to when we're going to look at our policy as a future agenda item. I know the turnaround is quick, but I think we can do something. So I'd like to go over that before time goes by even further. So.
Before the next meeting?
Well, I'd love that, just to see what's next. I don't, it doesn't, I'm leaving it open. I'm looking at the staff. I know we're closing the year, but I just know that it's a busy time. But I just don't want to lose track of this. Thank you.
I hear you.
Any other comments? I'll entertain a motion to adjourn.
So moved. Second.
Mr. Shunk, a second by Mr. Gracia. All those in favor? Aye. Student? Aye. Yes. Congratulations.